Chapter 1268. If I submit, I will be glorious. If you want me to be your dog, I would rather die. Yi Qinghan, don't force me. If you push me too far, I will perish together with you. Shinta Xiong was covered in blood. The muscles on his face trembled. His eyes were filled with fierceness, more ferocious than a wolf. As he escaped, he turned to stare at Yi Qinghan and roared, "Do you think you are qualified to perish together with me?" Yi Qinghan let out a long laugh, but he was secretly shocked. Primal Chaos Chi was the strongest energy a martial artist could possess. Of course, his power of frost was definitely stronger than chaotic Chi. But if Shintu Xiong detonated the chaotic divine crystal and ignited the chaotic Chi within, the power would definitely be devastating. He had the Fire God battle armor and the power of frost. He might be able to escape, but what about the Beast God and the rest? The divine world was facing an unprecedented calamity. If the Beast God and the rest were all killed in the explosion, it would be damned. Yi Qinghan guessed Shintu Xiong's thoughts. He transmitted a message to the Beast God and the rest to slow down. As expected, Shintu Xiong's expression changed. Yi Qinghan sneered, "If you want to self-detonate, go ahead. See if you can kill me with it." Yi Qinghan, ah. Shintu Xiong was in complete despair. He scanned the surroundings and saw only one material plane in front of him. Knowing that there was no way to escape, he stopped running. He stood in the void, his eyes filled with despair. He was like a dying wolf howling in despair. Yi Qinghan stood 10,000 miles away from Shintu Xiong. He was afraid that Shintu Xiong would attack him before he died. He pondered for a moment and shouted, "Shintu Xiong, you will die today. But do you want to die without descendants? You have been a hero for your entire life. Don't you want to leave something behind in the divine world? Both of your sons are in my hands. Shintuia, and the youngest son hidden in a small mystic realm, Shintuwua. Shintuia has already told me. At this moment, they're already under my control. Do you want them to die with you? Wuya? Anata. Wuya, this idiot, this stupid pig. Yi Qinghan, you're so vicious, so vicious." Shintu Xiong's face was filled with shock, his eyes filled with fear. And then he roared in a tyrannical manner, "You want me to be your sole slave? No way. I lost. Wuya, and the others have no meaning to live. So let's die together." Wrong. Yi Qinghan feared that Shintu Xiong would self-detonate. So he hurriedly shouted, "I don't want you to be my sole slave. I can also swear a divine emperor blood oath to ensure that your two sons can live well. I only want you to teach me a divine ability. I can give you a dignified death." "What divine ability?" Shintu Xiong was taken aback and asked doubtfully. Behind them, the beast deity and the others were also bewildered. They did not know what Yi Qinghan was up to. Couldn't he just kill him and be done with it? Yi Qinghan said coldly, "The great possession art is the divine ability you use to seize another person's body. Xiaohe was forced to use the soul-devouring transformation because of you, and now he has become a soul body. If he can reincarnate, I can give you a dignified death and ensure that your two sons can live well." "Xiaohe? That's a soul-devouring beast? Haha. You can forget about that. My great possession art is only temporary. After a long time, the body will rot automatically." Shintu Xiong laughed coldly and shook his head. Seeing Yi Qinghan's ice-cold expression, and the 10 God Slayer spears condensed again, and the beast deity and the others formed a fan shape and slowly surrounded them, Shintu Xiong knew that they were about to make a move. So he laughed even more impudently and said, "Soul-devouring beast. Back then when the old soul-devouring beast seized my chaos divine crystal, this little soul-devouring beast saved your life. If not for this little soul-devouring beast, would I have fallen to such a state? You want to resurrect that soul-devouring beast? Don't even think about it. Ha. I have been a hero for a lifetime. I don't need you to give me a dignified death. Won't I die myself? Don't even think about it. If you want my chaos divine crystal. Ha. Retreat." Yi Qinghan saw white flames burning on Shintu Xiong's body and immediately shouted. His body suddenly retreated, and the beast deity and the others also hurriedly retreated. The self-detonation of a peak ninth-grade supreme martial artist would definitely destroy the world. With their small bodies, they would definitely die if they touched it. Haha! Even if I die, I won't let you have an easy time. Shinta Xiong's body was burning with flames, and he flew towards them while laughing wildly. His face was hideous and terrifying. It seemed like he was planning to self-detonate and drag everyone down with him. Even if he died, he wouldn't let them have an easy time. Eh. Suddenly, Shinta Xiong's laughter stopped, and his body also stopped. The white flames on his body also retracted, and his eyes suddenly shot towards the material plane on the left. Yi Qinghan and the others were also alarmed. When they looked in that direction, all of their expressions changed. Outside that material plane, there was suddenly a sky full of black airflow, and then an evil and cold aura suddenly enveloped the surrounding void. Evil aura. This material plane is the transfer plane of the demon realm. Yi Qinghan and the beast deity looked at each other and cried out involuntarily. One of the material planes of the divine realm was occupied by the demon realm, and there was a demon monarch guarding it. The ninth-grade martial artists of the divine realm could not enter, nor could they exterminate it. They did not expect it to be this plane. At this moment, the evil aura was surging towards the direction of the divine realm, covering the sky and earth. Obviously, there was an army of countless demons about to launch a large-scale attack. Ha! Demons? Demons. I don't want to die. I would rather become a demon. I want to attack the divine realm with the demons and tear you all apart. I will turn the divine realm into a world of demons. Haha, I can live for eternity. Shinta Xiong suddenly laughed, his face twisted in a sickly manner. Then, under the shocked gazes of Yi Qinghan and the others, he actually shot towards the evil aura in the distance. And his whole body actually did not have the slightest bit of origin energy or chaos chi to protect his body. Shinta Xiong actually wanted to take the initiative to be invaded by the evil aura, become a creature of the demon realm, and rely on the power of the demon realm to take revenge on Yi Qinghan and the others. Chase! Yi Qinghan and the others were greatly frightened. Whether Shinta Xiong wanted to take advantage of the chaos to escape or become a creature of the demon realm, it was not the ending they wanted. In the history of the divine realm, there was no case of a ninth-grade martial artist being demonized by the evil aura. They also did not know if Shinta Xiong could maintain his original strength and intelligence after taking the initiative to be demonized. If he could maintain it, he would have the ability to be unkillable as long as the body of a creature of the demon realm was not destroyed. Then it would really be King Hell. Within the overwhelming evil aura, there were countless creatures of the demon realm, and there were even ninth-grade demons. At this moment, just as they left the transit plane and were preparing to rush towards the divine realm, they discovered 6 divine realm powerhouses flying towards them. Moreover, each of them had a terrifying aura and were definitely at the 9th-grade martial artist level. The 2 9th-grade demon monarchs and the countless Azura kings were immediately frightened into turning around, flying back towards the material plane. But while the Azura kings and demon monarchs had intelligence, the abyssal demon kings did not. Seeing the human martial artists flying towards them, they immediately roared and flew towards Shinta Xiong. Yi Qinghan and the others had retreated several million miles because of Shinta Xiong's self-detonation. By the time they caught up, Shinta Xiong had already been enveloped by the evil aura. Chapter 1269. Hiss! Ayo! Woo! A series of ghostly howls came from the demonic aura. Vaguely, Shinta Xiong's blood-red eyes could be seen as he raised his head and howled. His entire body was surrounded by demonic aura, and black scales could be seen growing on his skin. Not good. Attack with all your might. Shinta Xiong has demonized. With the ability of a devil monarch, we can forget about killing him. Disperse all the demonic aura in the surroundings. Don't let Shinta Xiong have a chance to escape. Yi Qinghan's expression changed drastically, and he roared loudly. His voice shook the heavens, and 10 God Slayer spears shot forward. Wherever they passed, the demonic aura melted, revealing ferocious-looking demonic creatures with blood-red eyes and baring their fangs and claws. The beast god and the others hurriedly attacked with all their might, using all kinds of methods to smash at the demonic creatures in all directions. 1,000 layers of waves, like a huge tide caused by a tsunami, roared and surged forward. Wherever they passed, the demonic aura melted, and the demonic creatures turned into dust. Snow and ice fell from the sky, turning into millions of icicles that fell from the 9 heavens, smashing into the demonic army that covered a radius of 1,000,000 miles. Beast god Yifehu controlled 2 strange beasts, and like a magnificent army, they charged into the demonic army, purifying the void wherever they passed. Boom, boom, boom. Countless deafening explosions reverberated in everyone's ears. The 5 strongest sovereigns of the immortal realm used shocking methods and attacked with all their might. How powerful was that? The scene in the void was extremely spectacular, shocking everyone. Countless explosions sounded, and in the void, the cracks in the space were torn and healed. The layers of space shook like ripples, spreading in all directions continuously. At this moment, even the void was trembling, and at this moment, the color of heaven and earth changed. At this moment, even the stars in the sky were overshadowed. In just an instant, millions of demonic creatures turned into dust, and the demonic aura that enveloped a radius of 1,000,000 miles was shaken off, dissolving into heaven and earth. In the void, there was only a Shinto Shion covered in blood, his body limp, not a single bone or muscle intact, trembling and roaring. Yi Qinghan and the others' attacks came just in time. Shinto Shion hadn't been completely demonized, but he was now heavily injured. Half of his demonization was gone, and he didn't have any demonic aura, so he couldn't continue demonizing. His eyes were bloodshot, and his body was curled into a ball like a dog, howling and whimpering. His primal chaos divine crystal has been demonized, but his soul sea has not been completely demonized. What a waste of a primal chaos divine crystal. Yi Qinghan's spiritual consciousness immediately probed it and sighed helplessly. The 4 people beside him also revealed looks of pity. If this soul emperor divine crystal was given to any one of them, they could still become an ordinary 9th grade supreme martial artist. Now that the primal chaos divine crystal had been demonized, who would dare to refine it? Alas, I was wrong. I originally thought that Shinto Shion's possession divine ability would be able to help Xiao He possess and reconstruct his true body. If I had killed him earlier, this chaotic divine crystal wouldn't have been wasted. That's right, Xiao He. Xiao He. Just as Yi Qinghan was about to kill Shinto Shion, he suddenly thought of something. His body shook, and he became ecstatic. He shouted, Xiao He. Xiao He can devour this primal chaos divine crystal. Xiao He, come out. Devour Shinto Shion for me. Yi Qinghan flipped his hand, and the slaughter god saber appeared in Yi Qinghan's hand out of thin air. Then a phantom image shot out happily. It turned into a gust of wind and swept forward, enveloping the blood-red, unconscious Shinto Shion, who was howling in a low voice. Shinto Shion's body instantly turned into dust, assimilated and devoured by the gust of wind. Finally, his head and limbs were all devoured, leaving behind a primal chaos divine crystal that was emitting a white glow. However, there was a black aura surrounding it, and it was releasing a dense and domineering energy. They watched as Xiao He slowly devoured the primal chaos divine crystal. Yi Qinghan was silent. The beast deity was silent. The ice queen of Zhu Yi, Yifehu, was silent. The 5 of them looked at the primal chaos divine crystal that was slowly disappearing into the sky with complicated expressions. Hundreds of emotions surfaced in their hearts. An ambitious person of his generation, a lord of the divine world, a 9th grade supreme martial artist. Today he was finally dead. He had completely disappeared into the sky. Shinto Shion was dead. He did not die in the dimensional war. He did not die in the hands of the experts from the other dimensions. He died in the hands of his own people from the divine world. This was a laughable matter. This was a very sad matter. In the ancient world-destroying war, the experts of the divine world were basically all dead, and their civilization was almost annihilated. In the ancient times, the divine world, which had shaken the entire Pan realm, was now in a state of decline. If not for a battle emperor, a peerless restriction genius, the divine world would have long been occupied by the demonic plane. The people of the divine world did not know how to unite as one, did not know how to gather their strength, and did not know how to fight for supremacy. Instead, they were fighting amongst themselves, exhausting each other's strength. If news of this spread out, the experts from the other dimensions would definitely laugh their heads off. Perhaps the divine world would be completely destroyed by the demonic plane's attack this time. Perhaps the divine realm would suffer a crushing defeat in the next planar war. Perhaps it would not be long before the divine world became history. At this moment, a peak figure of the divine world, an ambitious person of his generation, an overlord, had died in the hands of his own people. Yi Qinghan and the others felt that this was extremely funny and extremely sad, although they had been impatient to kill Shinto Xiong many times in their hearts. But when Shinto Xiong really died, they still felt a kind of emptiness, an inexplicable sadness, and an inexplicable loneliness. But did they have a choice? No, they had no choice. From the moment Shinto Xiong killed the Battle Emperor, Yi Qinghan had no choice. From the moment the Soul Emperor died, Yi Qinghan had no choice. He was forced to fight. He had no choice but to fight with his back against the river. And if he did not win, he would die. He had always been a peace-loving person. He had always wanted to live a comfortable life. His biggest dream was to fish, play chess, and have sex with his wives. However, the heavens always teased him time and time again. He could only grit his teeth and fight. The pain, the struggle, and the fight were all for the sake of protecting his family and himself. Today, he finally stood at the peak of martial artists. He finally killed his enemy with his own hands. But seeing Shinto Xiong's chaos crystal disappear bit by bit, why did Yi Qinghan feel a sense of emptiness in his heart? Just like when he was having sex with a woman after the eruption, he felt so empty, so lonely. Xiaohe finally finished devouring Shinto Xiong's chaos divine crystal. He turned into a gust of wind and shot back. While he was still on the way, he condensed his original body and laughed with ecstasy. Boss, we finally killed Shinto Xiong. We finally succeeded. We can finally go home. Succeeded? Can we go home? Yi Qinghan muttered to himself and shook his head, trying to get rid of the indescribable emotions in his heart. A gratified smile appeared on his face as he let out a long sigh. He nodded his head heavily and said firmly, "Go home, yes. Go home. Let's go home." Everyone was shocked, and the beast deity shouted, "Yes. Go back quickly. The divine realm is still in an extremely dangerous situation." Chapter 1270. The situation in the divine world was not optimistic. Lord Devourer brought Mo Shanghuang, the Blood Knight Monarch, the Wind Moon Monarch, the Yinran Monarch, the Hidden Monarch, and the three monarchs of the small mysterious realm, Jida, back to the divine world. They immediately attacked the Supreme Island and asked the Blood Monarch and Mo Shanghuang to lure Shinto Wuya out. They took down the Eternal Palace and all the elders of the War God Pavilion. The monarchs of the continents returned to their respective continents. Wind and Moon Monarch Jida, the monarch of the Wind and Moon Continent, had regained the ruling rights of the Grace Continent, Wind and Moon Continent. Lord Devourer had asked the Hidden Monarch to control the Southern Mountain Continent. Then, Lord Devourer announced that Shinto Xiong had been killed. The divine world would no longer belong to Shinto, but to Yi. Once the news was out, the divine world was in an uproar. People's hearts were shaken, and voices of shock could be heard everywhere. How could Yi Qinghan kill Shinto Xiong, who was a peak 9th grade supreme martial artist? Moreover, Yi Qinghan had yet to show up. Shinto Xiong said that Yi Qinghan was killed by him. Moreover, Yi Qinghan had only cultivated for 10,000 years. How could he reach 9th grade supreme martial artist? This was simply impossible. All the monarchs who returned made the announcement in unison. The Blood Knight monarch, Mo Shanghuang, the Wind Moon monarch, and Yin Ran monarch had ruled the continents for hundreds of thousands of years. Although Jida had been gone for 10,000 years, his influence was still there. The big families of the continents were still doubtful, but they did not dare to say anything. Just as the divine world changed masters in one day, and people were shaken, all the demonic beasts went on a rampage overnight. It had been more than 10,000 years since the last rampage, and the number of demonic beasts in the divine world had increased. The speed of their evolution was too fast. Some time ago, the immortal realm was not in the mood to attend to the battle between Shinta Xiong and Yi Qinghan. Thus, the demonic beasts went on a rampage overnight. Their momentum was rather great, and the entire city was filled with red-eyed demonic beasts overnight. Lord Devour immediately ordered all the monarchs to suppress them, and he personally led the army to the Star Sea. Although Lord Devour's competence was at the lower level 9 realm, because of her relationship with Yi Qinghan, her position was above tens of thousands of people. None of the 9th grade sovereigns dared to disobey. Even the sovereigns were obedient. Would the legions and great clans dare to disobey? Furthermore, after the previous demonic beast rampage, the cultivators of the firmament world had gained some experience in dealing with demonic beasts. The experts of the various continents and the big families were all mobilized, and in the shortest time possible, the demonic beast army was exterminated. Just as the demonic beasts calmed down, the devil army arrived. This time, the Fiend Legion's arrival was very turbulent. In just 2 hours, countless places in the god world were covered in dark clouds. It was clear that the Fiend realm had planned and prepared for a long time, and had paid an incomparably high price. At the same time, they had sent countless fiend demons to take the immortal realm by surprise. At first, it was just a group of devils, which was harmless, so Lord Devour didn't pay much attention to it. After all, the divine world had been unified, and all the cultivators of the divine world had been suppressed together, so there wasn't much danger. However, what made Lord Devour and the others dumbstruck was the descent of the demons this time was incomparably strange. Billions of devils descended, but they didn't crazily attack the divine world's warriors. Quite the contrary, they started to kill each other. As soon as the Azura Kings appeared in the divine world, they started to kill the low-grade devils. As the Azura Kings were as strong as the venerables of the divine world, it was easy for them to kill the low-grade devils. In just a blink of an eye, countless low-grade devils were smashed into powder, vanishing from heaven and earth. When the news reached the ears of the great sovereigns, they were all thrilled. The Fiend Realm's creatures were killing each other, and they were going to watch a good show. Thus, the great armies that they had gathered surrounded the Fiend Legion, waiting to watch a good show. When the news reached Lord Devour's ears, he felt that something wasn't right. The Fiend Legion had traveled tens of thousands of miles and paid a huge price to teleport to the transfer plane near the divine world. Then, they had descended to the divine world. Did they come to the divine world to kill each other? Did they want to watch a good show? However, Lord Devour didn't understand it at first. Moreover, in the battle with the Fiend Legion, he had killed 3,000 enemies and lost 800 of his own. If they wanted to kill each other, he would let them do it for a while. Lord Devour's hesitation had led to a big problem. Countless low-level fiend devils were killed, their bodies, and their fiend devil auras, vanishing into the vital energy of the god world. In just one day and one night, the density of the demonic aura in the divine world had reached a frightening level. When Lord Devour woke up and sent the message to all the sovereign kings to suppress it, it was too late. The second demon legion had arrived. There weren't many demons that had descended this time, only tens of thousands of them. However, there were several powerful evil demons hiding inside. All of them were devil monarchs. After the devil monarch quietly descended, he did not start the battle. Instead, he hid within the demonic aura. Demon monarchs were bestowed with the power of darkness by the laws of heaven and earth. Their bodies could hide in the aura of demons. As long as their bodies were not destroyed, They were practically immortal. Lord Devour had wiped out the Devil Legion, but at least 5 Devil Monarchs were still hiding in the divine world. They hadn't shown up even once. Thousands of Azura kings had been killed, but they hadn't even appeared once. In fact, the people of the divine realm didn't know much about the creatures of the demon realm. The demon monarch still had a heaven-defying ability that no one in the divine realm knew about. They could slowly transform the heaven and earth's essence energy into demonic aura. With several devil monarchs hiding in the divine realm, the demonic aura in the divine realm didn't decrease. Instead, it became thicker and thicker. As long as the demonic aura thickened to a certain degree, the Devil Legion would descend again, and more devil monarchs would be hiding. Then, slowly, all the devil monarchs could descend and hide. Most importantly, the thick demonic aura had started to invade the low-level warriors of the divine realm. In just 3 months, countless low-level warriors of the divine realm had been demonized. Lord Devour's wisdom was unparalleled, but facing this method, he was helpless. He could only ask the beast god to go through Yi Qinghan and send all the low-level warriors to the material plane. The divine realm was covered in dark clouds. Because the divine realm had changed its leader, people were anxious. Now, it was as if the end of the world had come. Once the Devil Legion descended a few more times, the Devil Monarchs would continue to infiltrate. With the 10 low-level, 9th-grade Devil Monarchs of the Divine Realm, they wouldn't be able to defeat them. When they successfully rescued the 3 Devil Supremes, the Divine Realm would become the territory of the Demon Realm. Billions of citizens of the Divine Realm would become demons. Finally, the Divine Realm would disappear in the dust of Pan-Gea's history. Countless mortal realm warriors were sent to the material planes through the teleportation formations of the continents. Then, the heavenly god warriors also started to be teleported. The shields of the cities in the divine realm were all activated. No one dared to leave the city. Countless heavenly god warriors stood in the plaza, waiting to be teleported. They looked at the faint black sky in the sky, their hearts gloomy. So what if they went to the material planes? Once the divine realm fell, could all the medium secret realms of the material plane survive? Without the divine realm, where could they escape to? In billions of years, the old divine realm was facing its second most severe crisis. In the ancient times, the divine realm had almost been destroyed. Would he be able to get through this by a fluke? Chapter 1271. What? Odila and the others have successfully infiltrated the divine realm? There are only 10 9th-grade lower overlords in the divine realm? Divine Emperor, how is this possible? In the northernmost Auguland of the demon realm, Monarch Aogu was in the city. The great Monarch Aogu had just received a secret message from the divine realm and was shocked. His originally dark face was now covered in malevolent scales due to his agitation, making him look even more terrifying. The Shura king who had sent the message immediately shouted excitedly, "Yes, great ancestor demon. This news is absolutely true. Ancestor demon, please immediately give the order to attack the divine realm and rescue the 3 old demon ancestors. Occupy the divine realm. Spread our great demon aura across the entire divine realm." That's right. Monarch Aogu had finally broken through the Demon Supreme after thousands of years and became another supreme demon ancestor of the demon realm. After Aogu became an ancestor demon, it only took him a few months to unify the demon realm. In fact, this time, Aogu did not really want to conquer the divine realm. Although he had unified the demon realm with the strength of the Demon Supreme, the demon monarchs below him might have surrendered on the surface, but there were undercurrents surging in the dark. His prestige had not been established and was not enough to command the masses. He had only intended to put on a show so that the people of the demon realm would know that he was the master of the demon realm. So he sent a few demon monarchs who had always been at odds with him to the divine realm. Under the guise of rescuing the 3 ancestor demons, they took back the sacred weapon slaughter Godblade. Unexpectedly, they succeeded. Aogu actually did not know that Otto, Odila, and the others were just lucky. The situation in the divine realm was extremely complicated at the moment, and there were only 10 ninth grade lower overlords. If there were ninth grade supremes, once the demon monarchs arrived, they would immediately suppress them and would not have been able to hide so easily. Ao paced back and forth in the hall. He did not really want to attack the divine realm. If he rescued the three old things, the demon realm would no longer be his world. But at this moment, with such a heaven-sent opportunity, if he did not attack, he would be destroyed by the heavens. The demon realm had won the last planar war, and it just so happened that the divine realm was defeated. The two planes were adjacent, and the demon realm had the opportunity to attack the divine realm. Unfortunately, the War Emperor's restrictions were too high, and the demon realm was completely wiped out. If they didn't attack now, they would have waited until the immortal world gathered its strength and won the next planar war. Then they would be able to rid themselves of their status as the defeated plane. The demon realm would not have the chance to attack the divine realm. The three ancestral fiends would be forever suppressed in the divine world's sin abyss. Ao also thought that if he could rescue the three ancestor fiends and conquer the divine world, his prestige would reach unprecedented heights. So what if the three ancestor fiends returned? After all, weren't the three ancestral fiends suppressed and sealed after conquering the divine world? A moment later, Ao finally made up his mind and shouted, "Issue the ancestor demon token. Summon all the monarchs of the holy world to Ao City and open the Saint transmission array. Gather all the transmission energy in the holy world and send all the monarchs to the divine world. We will use the entire sacred world's strength to invade and occupy the divine world." With Ao's order, the news from the divine world spread throughout the entire demon world. Suddenly, the entire demon world went into an uproar, all of them preparing for war, preparing to attack the divine world. Xiaohei, how do you feel? After swallowing the primal chaos divine crystal, is it possible for you to evolve again? The beast god shrine tore through the void and flew towards the divine world at full speed. As soon as Yi Qinghan entered, he immediately sent his divine sense into the slaughter god blade and discovered that Xiaohei was not asleep. Instead, he was grinning at him. It feels wonderful, but the power of this primal chaos divine crystal is too strong. I can't refine it in a short time, so I can only slowly refine it. I wonder if I can evolve again after refining it? Xiaohei's divine sense immediately probed Jiang Yi, and he smiled as he transmitted his voice. "You can definitely evolve. You can definitely evolve." Yi Qinghan hurriedly comforted him. Shintu Xiong was dead, and the soul-stealing secret technique was in vain. Xiaohei's soul had always been the thing that Yi Qinghan felt the most guilty about. Killing Shintu Xiong did not give him the pleasure he had imagined. Instead, he felt empty. The reason why the soul-stealing secret technique could not restore Xiaohei was also a large part of the reason. Big brother, you don't have to worry. Even if I can't evolve this time, at worst, I can keep devouring experts and keep evolving. Maybe I can recover my real body after a few more evolutions. Xiaohei had an extremely optimistic personality. Sensing the guilt in Yi Qinghan's heart, he comforted Yi Qinghan instead. As he spoke, he also felt that it was feasible. After all, he had evolved twice now, and his strength was constantly improving. His devouring ability was also getting stronger and stronger. If he could evolve a few more times, he might really have the ability to transform. When Yi Qinghan heard this, his eyes lit up immediately. He transmitted his voice excitedly, "Yes. Yes. Now that Shintu Xiong is dead, the immortal realm is Big Brother's world. With Big Brother's strength, you don't have to fear any ninth grade supreme martial artist now. At worst, I can bring you to the dimensional battlefield in the future and devour a large number of experts, forcing you to evolve continuously. Xiaohei, Big Brother will definitely help you recover your real body. Even if the dimensional battlefield turns into a bloodbath and the fields are littered with corpses, I won't hesitate." Xiaohei grinned and said, Big Brother treats me the best. Big Brother, you go ahead and do what you need to do. I will refine the energy in the Chaos Divine Crystal first. Yi Qinghan withdrew his divine sense from the slaughter god saber and started to think carefully. Xiao Hei's soul was extremely strange. He had evolved twice in a row. At this moment, he could easily devour an upper ninth grade martial artist. If he refined this chaos divine crystal this time and evolved again, he might be able to defeat an upper ninth grade martial artist. Since Xiao Hei could evolve again and again, it meant that Xiao Hei was very likely to evolve into a ninth grade supreme martial artist. It was also very likely that he would be able to develop some divine abilities. For example, transformation. After all, Xiao Hei had become like this after devouring the dog specter. And the dog specter was evolved from the slaughter god saber. When I return to the heavenly realm, I will suppress the demon realm. I will accumulate the power of cold. When I return to the dimensional battlefield, I will bring Xiao Hei on a killing spree. I will let him devour countless martial artists until he regains his true form. As long as there is a glimmer of hope, I will fight for it. Yi Qinghan made up his mind and felt extremely relaxed. He walked out of the room and walked towards the hall where the beast deity and the others were. Yi Qinghan walked into the hall and saw that the four of them were there. He nodded at them and asked the beast deity, "Ancestor, what was the situation like when you returned from the heavenly realm?" The beast deity pondered for a moment and said, "There are more than 5 devil monarchs hiding in the heavenly realm. These devil monarchs can actually assimilate the heaven and earth yuan qi. The demonic aura in the heavenly realm is getting thicker and thicker, but we can't find the devil monarch's clones. Some of the ordinary martial artists in the heavenly realm have already been demonized. Sigh. The heavenly realm is in danger this time." Ice Queen Zhui Yifeihu also frowned. During this period of time, she had discussed with the beast deity in detail. However, they were still at their wits' end. They couldn't find the true bodies of the devil monarchs. They were powerful, but they could only watch as the heavenly realm fell bit by bit. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment and waved his hand. He grinned and said, "Don't worry. As long as the heavenly realm's martial artists are not demonized on a large scale, it will be fine. When I return to the heavenly realm, I can easily suppress these devil monarchs. Demon realm, no matter how many devil monarchs come, I will kill them all." Chapter 1272. The moment Yi Qinghan said that, the four of them shook. They didn't know what to do. Yi Qinghan actually dared to boast like that? They understood Yi Qinghan's personality and knew that he wasn't one to boast. Beast God asked nervously, "Oh, little Han, are you confident that you can kill a demon king?" Yi Qinghan smiled mysteriously, then said leisurely, "Sir Devour, kid, and I used to go to the demon territory. We've killed so many creatures of the demon territory. Don't worry with me here, no matter how many of them come, they will all die." Ice Queen thought of something. She remembered that Yi Qinghan had a weird blade. Her eyes flashed, and she looked towards Yi Qinghan for confirmation. Seeing that Yi Qinghan nodded, Ice Queen's ice-cold face blushed. She smiled. "Don't worry. Lord Han Yi definitely has the ability." That's good. Beast God rubbed his hands. His small eyes squinted into a line. His dry face smiled, revealing many wrinkles like tree bark. If outsiders saw him like this, no one would think that he was a peak expert whose overall strength was comparable to a 9th grade supreme martial artist. Then, Beast God suddenly thought of something, and his expression became nervous. He sent a message, "Little Han, you must have used up a lot of your cold energy, right? If there are many demon kings, are you confident that you can kill them all?" Yi Qinghan shook his head and smiled. He replied, "I don't need to use up my cold energy. This is too complicated to explain. Anyway, we will reach the God world soon. You will know when you see it for yourself." Beast God was at ease after getting confirmation from Yi Qinghan. He controlled the Beast God Hall to fly towards the God world. Yi Qinghan didn't need to cultivate now. His cold energy was increasing automatically. Instead, he felt like he had nothing to do. After sitting down and thinking for a while, he thought of a question. A strange light flashed in his eyes, and he said, "Ancestor, what exactly happened in ancient times? Why was the divine world destroyed?" Who was it that destroyed the 10 ancient clans of the god world? Can you sue me now? Beast God was slightly stunned. He subconsciously glanced at Zhu Yi and Ice Queen like he didn't know what to say. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and said, Zhu Yi, you are now the patriarch of the Fire God clan, and the Fire God clan was the strongest clan in the divine world in the past. Just say it. Ice Queen isn't an outsider, so I don't think she will leak the secret. Ice Queen wanted to avoid it, but after Yi Qinghan said that, it wasn't appropriate for her to leave. She smiled towards Yi Qinghan gratefully. Her face flushed red like a peach blossom. She looked really tempting. She smiled. Actually, Bing Mei has guessed a little about what happened in the past, but I don't know if it is true or not. Why don't I tell you first? Bing Mei Yi Qinghan was stunned. The other three also felt a little unnatural. Ice Queen was like an ice sculpture. If you didn't talk to her, she would just sit there like an ice mountain. Who knew that she actually had such a flirtatious name? Yi Qinghan looked at the redness on Ice Queen's face and felt the coldness from her body. His heart shook. He thought about how if Ice Queen got on the bed, would her entire body be ice cold when they had sex? However, he thought about how they were talking about serious matters and he was thinking about all this. He couldn't help but feel guilty. He said, Queen, please speak. Ice Queen paused for a moment and her face turned back to ice cold. She said slowly, in the ancient era, when the god world was at its peak, the 10 races all had grade 9 supreme venerables. The fire god beast race and water god race had more than one grade 9 supreme venerables. I've looked through all the information in ancient history and found that there were 15 ninth grade supreme martial artists and dozens of ninth grade experts in the immortal realm at that time. They participated in numerous planar wars and were unsurprisingly first in points. They obtained many supreme spiritual treasures and their overall strength became even stronger. Back then, the divine realm had conquered several major planes, right? The evil demon world was also conquered. However, the demonic aura in the evil demon world wasn't suitable for God world martial artists to live in, which was why they let them off. Beast God, Your Majesty Zhu Yi, am I right? Beast God and Zhu Yi exchanged glances with one another. Beast God continued, You are basically right. However, at their peak, there were actually over 20 grade 9 supreme venerables. As for grade 9 experts, there were over 100. We've already conquered 18 major planes. See, Yi Qinghan and Yi Feihu, who didn't know, sucked in a deep cold breath. Over 20 grade 9 supreme venerables, many with supreme spiritual treasures. Over 100 grade 9 experts. He ruled over 18 major planes and countless material planes. The strength and power of the god world had actually reached such a terrifying level. Ice Queen was shocked, but it confirmed her thoughts. She said, the god world's strength could be said to be the strongest power in the entire Pan realm. One could say that when the god world was angry, numerous planes would tremble. There were so many experts, and they were so powerful. Who else could cause the god world to be wiped out? Kill all the grade 9 experts? My guess is that, given the circumstances at the time, the god world would only have been destroyed if all the experts of the planes in the coiling realm joined forces to attack it. However, the space blade shattering current in the endless space was an uncrossable gap. Moreover, each plane had different races, and it was hard for them to work together. This was pretty much impossible. So I concluded that there was only one possibility for the god world to be wiped out. God Emperor Supreme. When Ice Queen said the last 4 words, Yi Qinghan and Beast God Zhu Yi's expressions turned solemn. Yi Feihu's mouth opened wide as he looked at Ice Queen in disbelief. Zhu Yi and Beast God could read the records of their race. Although they didn't witness what happened, they guessed it. As for Yi Qinghan, he came to a conclusion when Battle Emperor's remnant soul dissipated, which was why he wasn't surprised at all. The atmosphere in the Beast God Hall became really tense. This matter had been a huge mountain pressing down on everyone's hearts. In the past, Beast God and Zhu Yi didn't dare to talk about it to their subordinates. Now that they said it out in the open, everyone felt an unprecedented pressure. God Emperor Supreme, the manager of Pan Realm, the master of Pan Realm, the strongest expert of Pan Realm. Even if Yi Qinghan had the ability to defeat Grade 9 Supreme Martial Artists, facing a God Emperor Supreme, he felt like an ant under the feet of a giant. Although the God world had numerous God Grade Martial Artists, although they all reached the peak of Grade 9, but they all believed that their man was a powerful man who could defy the heavens and change his fate. But God Emperor Supreme, he was a god, the true god of Pan Realm, an unparalleled existence. God Emperor Supreme, why did he send a divine punishment to destroy the God world? After a long time, Yi Qinghan let out a long breath to ease the pressure in her heart and asked in a deep voice. According to the records of our ancestors, it was because there was a nether race among the 10 ancient races. They liked to kill creatures and extract their souls for cultivation. This nether race killed an entire large plane and trillions of lives. This caused the God Emperor Supreme to be furious and send a divine punishment to destroy the God world. Beast God also let out a long sigh and continued weakly. After the God Emperor Supreme destroyed the world, some of our clansmen luckily escaped. However, they received an order from the God Emperor Supreme. In the future, the 10 ancient races were not allowed to step into the plain battlefield. Otherwise, they would all be killed and the God world would be destroyed again. Therefore, the 3 remaining races hid in the 3 secret realms, struggling at death's door. Yi Qinghan stood up, his face solemn. His gaze passed through the Beast God Hall and looked at the endless void outside. He shook his head slightly and murmured, "The God Emperor Supreme wanted to destroy the world because of killing creatures? You created the rules of the planar wars, but you say others violated your rules? This reason is so laughable. God Emperor Supreme, what kind of existence are you? What do you want?" Chapter 1273. The divine world was getting more and more chaotic. The demonic aura in the air was getting thicker and thicker. Every city had already activated their barriers to prevent the spiritual energy from entering the city. Martial artists below the God Emperor rank were also forbidden from leaving the city. There were no more large-scale incidents of martial artists being demonized. But how many people were there in the divine world? Most of the martial artists in the divine world were low-level martial artists. They were originally staying in their tribes. Now, they had all rushed into the cities and the islands. Although there were people everywhere, the streets and roofs were filled with people. They had all settled down. But what did so many people eat? God-rank martial artists did not need to eat? Indeed, God-rank martial artists only needed to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The problem was that the barriers were activated. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth could not enter. Moreover, the inside was filled with people. How could there be so much spiritual energy for them to absorb? God-rank martial artists could temporarily use the energy in their bodies to last 5 to 10 years. But if the devil monarch was not killed, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth would be assimilated. When the divine world was filled with demonic aura, would they still be able to survive? Panic spread like a plague. If one were to fly over every city in the God world right now, they would see many faces filled with despair and many pairs of eyes filled with fear. The superior grade 9 Lord Qingshan was dead. The superior grade 9 Ice Queen was missing. The Star Monarch Battle God Pavilion's chief pavilion master, the strongest person in the divine world, was missing. There were only 10 inferior grade 9 sovereigns left in the divine world. 10 helpless sovereigns in the face of such a dangerous situation. The remaining 10 could not protect their sovereigns. Billions of martial artists looked at the darkening sky with despair. In their hearts, they kept calling the divine emperor and Shinta Xiong's names. The battle god pavilion had always protected the divine world and killed the demons. Now that the people of the divine world were facing a huge disaster, where was the strongest and most respected chief pavilion master? He did not return. He would never return. What returned was a shining golden 9-story pagoda. A pagoda that had disappeared for more than 10,000 years. Soul Emperor Pavilion. Of course, there was also an ancient Beast God Hall. When the Soul Emperor Pavilion's Beast God Hall arrived, It slowly descended towards the misty continent. Countless god emperors and supremacies were in an uproar. Then, this news instantly spread throughout the entire immortal world. All the cultivators who were holed up in the cities and islands were shocked and bewildered. Yi Qing'an was back. He had openly returned in the Soul Emperor Pavilion's Beast God Hall. In other words, Shinta Xiong was dead. Lord Devourer and the other sovereigns didn't lie to them. The god world didn't belong to Shinto anymore. It belonged to Yi. The number one genius of the divine world had once again created a miracle that caused countless people to wet their pants. After cultivating for more than 10,000 years, his overall strength had reached the level of a ninth-grade supreme martial artist. He had killed the lord of the immortal realm, Shinta Xiong, and ruled over the world. Flame Dragon City was bustling with activity. Yi Qing'an directly landed the Soul Emperor Pavilion in Flame Dragon City. Before they even landed, the teleportation formation in the city was already flashing nonstop. At this moment, there were not many people in Flame Dragon City, mainly because this city used to belong to Yi Qing'an. Staying here would either offend Shinta Xiong or Yi Qing'an. These two people, could ordinary martial artists of the immortal realm afford to offend them? Lord Devourer had come with 10 sovereigns. The venerable palace masters of the Misty Manor were all teleported here. Many patriarchs of the big families who had received the news were also teleported here. The originally empty city was now filled with tens of thousands of people. They were all here to welcome the new master of the divine world, Frigid Knight Sovereign, Yi Qing'an. Everyone looked at the group of people who had flashed out of the Soul Emperor Pavilion's Beast God Hall with fiery eyes. Yi Qing'an had met the Soul Emperor Pavilion on the way. Now that Shinta Xiong was dead, of course, he came back. Greetings, Frigid Knight Sovereign. When they saw a familiar green-robed man surrounded by the crowd like a myriad of stars surrounding the moon, they felt a chill run down their spines. Except for Lord Devourer and the Beast God, all the sovereigns knelt on one knee and shouted. Even Jida and Sovereign Yinran knelt on one knee. This was what Jida and Yinran had agreed on. It was to build up momentum for Yi Qing'an, to help him rule the world. Greetings, Frigid Knight Sovereign. After the sovereigns, all the venerable palace masters knelt, followed by the patriarchs of the big families and all the warriors in the city. All of them knelt like a rising tide. Their shouts shook the sky, full of respect and sincerity. They had to be sincere. At this moment, the divine world was facing a world-ending crisis. Everyone was going to die. And Lord Devourer said that as long as Yi Qing'an came back, the divine world's crisis could be easily solved. Those who had milk were their mothers. Yi Qing'an could save their lives. Yi Qing'an was their god. Moreover, Yi Qing'an could kill Shinta Xiong. With his formidable strength, what was shameful about submitting to him? It didn't matter who was the boss. Yi Qing'an looked at the tens of thousands of people kneeling in front of him and smiled. His smile was very bright, very gratified, incomparably comfortable and joyful. After so many years, he could finally return to the divine world with dignity. How many times had he escaped death? How many times had he been in pain? How many days and nights had he been cultivating nonstop? How many times had he fainted? How many sleepless nights had he been? Yi Qing'an couldn't remember. However, he didn't want to think about it now. He could kill Shinta Xiong, bring his women, children, and family back to the divine world with dignity, and live a comfortable life. He thought everything was worth it. Yi Qing'an turned around to look at Yu Qingqing, Yi Qingyu, Fireworks, and the others. Looking at their bright eyes and smiling faces, he felt that his efforts and struggles weren't in vain. If they could live a happy and peaceful life, who would want to be a vagabond? Yi Qing'an's eyes raked through Lord Devourer. He saw that Lord Devourer was also excited. It seemed that she had received the news and knew that he had killed Shinta Xiong. Shinta Xiong was swallowed by Xiaohe. Xiaohe had avenged his father. However, he didn't feel anything or excited. Quite the contrary, Lord Devourer was shivering with excitement. However, he controlled himself and didn't ask about the details. Instead, he shot a glance at Yi Qing'an. Yi Qinghan finally got it. He said to the people who were still kneeling in front of him, "Stand up." Swoosh! Everyone stood up in an orderly manner, their gazes locked onto Yi Qinghan, the emotions in their eyes incomparably complicated. There was surprise, admiration, and even hidden jealousy and resentment. Of course, most of them were hope. They hoped that Yi Qinghan could be like what Lord Devour had said, and he could save the divine world. Yi Qinghan took 2 steps forward. His eyes were as sharp as a knife as he scanned everybody's faces. Then, under everyone's expectant eyes, he started his first speech since he came to the divine world. "I killed Shintu Xiong. The beast god, Ice Queen Yi Qinghan, can be my witness. In the divine world, I, Yi Qinghan, will be the boss. If you don't believe it, stand up now. Come out now. I'll give him a fair chance to fight. If he can defeat me, I will give him the position of boss." Oh, besides the astonished gasps, tens of thousands of bewildered eyes, and tens of thousands of dumbfounded faces, no one in the Flame Dragon City dared to say a word. All of them looked at each other in dismay. Black lines appeared on their foreheads. This Han Yi sovereign is too domineering. You killed Shintu Xiong. If you don't become the boss, who will? Boss? Why does it sound like a god bandit leader? All the sovereigns have submitted to you. Who dares to say no? Aren't you just teasing us? Chapter 1274. Yi Qinghan's expression was solemn, and he did not look like he was joking. Seeing that no one dared to step forward, a faint smile appeared on his face as he said slowly, "Since no one dares to step forward, that means no one objects. All right, since all of you have acknowledged me as your boss, then the matters of the divine realm shall be my, Yi Qinghan's business. And my, Yi Qinghan's, orders are the highest orders. In the future, if anyone dares to defy my orders, don't blame Yi Qinghan for being merciless. Once discovered, the entire clan will be killed." Although Yi Qinghan had a smile on his face, and his tone was incomparably calm, everyone felt a chill down their spines when they heard it. At this moment, no one doubted Yi Qinghan's words. This young master had the nickname of a human-shaped demon in the past. He could kill 3 billion people with a single palm strike without batting an eyelid. Yi Qinghan retracted his gaze in satisfaction when he saw the fear in everyone's eyes. Shintu Xiong had been operating in the divine realm for so many years, and he had left behind countless forces in the open and in the dark. The Battle God Pavilion was the largest force in the divine realm. Now that he was the leader of the divine realm, he had to show some of his methods. Yi Qinghan was not afraid of anyone targeting him, but his family and clansmen would inevitably roam the divine realm in the future. If someone wanted to assassinate them, it would be impossible to guard against it. Understood. Another wave of earth-shattering voices rang out as everyone shouted in unison. Then, they all looked at Yi Qinghan with hope in their eyes. Unexpectedly, Yi Qinghan waved his hand and said indifferently, "That's all. Everyone disperse." What? Countless people blinked their eyes. Even a few sovereigns were confused as they watched Yi Qinghan lead a group of people towards the Flame Dragon City Lord Manor. They were all dumbfounded. Today, everyone was not just here to welcome Yi Qinghan back. Most importantly, they were waiting for Yi Qinghan to lead everyone to kill the devil monarch that was hiding in the divine realm. Yet, Yi Qinghan was telling everyone to return now? Was he going to leave just like that? Was he going to rest and have sex? The god realm was about to be destroyed. My lord, the Blood Knight monarch couldn't hold it in any longer. He stared at Yi Qinghan's back as he spoke. Mo Shanghuang and the others also stared at Yi Qinghan. The tens of thousands of people present had turned into resentful little wives. Is there anything else? Yi Qinghan turned to look at the crowd with a puzzled look on his face. However, he was sneering in his heart. He had deliberately left them hanging to make them anxious. My lord, the devil monarch, the Blood Knight monarch pointed at the sky with a bitter expression. The tens of thousands of people behind him also nodded like chicks pecking at rice. Their gazes were as anxious as could be. Oh, you mean the demon monarchs? Yi Qinghan smiled as if nothing had happened. He waved his hand and continued to lead his people into the city lord's mansion. He left behind a few words. You can all go back. Wait for me to have a good rest. I'll take a bath and drink some wine to restore my spirit. Later, I'll go and kill these asterisk stars. Humph. Is the God realm a place where they can come and go as they please? Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan and his people disappearing into the city lord's mansion. They exchanged looks again. The 10 lower ninth-grade sovereigns of the God realm were at their wits' end. Yet, he could kill them easily, regardless of whether they believed it or not. Since Yi Qinghan had said it, they could only believe it. Everyone left the teleportation formation, but they didn't dare to return. They all gathered in the nearby Longyang city. They were waiting for Yi Qinghan to show his might and easily crush those devil monarchs who were hiding in the God realm and had struck fear into the hearts of billions of warriors in the God realm. The sealed God Valley was still as beautiful as before. Yi Qinghan walked in with his wives, Lord Devour, Kid Beast God, and Li Shuai. As for the others, they weren't qualified to enter. Even Zhu Yi and Yi Qinghan didn't send her a message to come in. Returning to the sealed God Valley, Yu Qingsheng, Huiyin, and the others beamed with joy. This was their first real home. Seeing that the palaces weren't destroyed, even Yu Qingsheng, who was the calmest, beamed with joy. Little Han, thank you. In the main hall, as soon as they sat down, Lord Devour stood up and bowed deeply to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was so scared that he stood up and helped Lord Devour up. He asked fearfully, Lord, what are you doing? Lord Devour lifted his head. His face was full of tears, and his voice was choked with sobs. He said sincerely, Thank you for taking revenge for the Soul Emperor for me. If it weren't for you, Jia Wu wouldn't have been able to fulfill her wish for the rest of her life. You deserve this kowtow. Lord, don't say that. You like this. Yi Qinghan is too ashamed to show his face. If it weren't for Lord, Yi Qinghan would still be the trash of the Yi family. He would have lived a mediocre life. It's Yi Qinghan who should thank you. Yi Qinghan said sincerely, although he was angry at Lord Devour for arranging his life. Without Lord Devour's arrangement, he would still be the 7th son of the Yi family. How could he rule the God world like he did now? How could he have so many beautiful wives? How could he have lived such a magnificent life? All right, don't thank me. Little Han, you should go and kill those demon monarchs first. Seeing the two of them exclaiming as if they wanted to talk about the old days, the beast god was so anxious, urging them. Yi Qinghan and Lord Devour exchanged looks and smiled. Yi Qinghan's heroic spirit burst out, and he said to the beast god, Let's go. We'll find those demon monarchs and crush them. Jita was excited. He stood up and said with a smile, I'm going too. I'm going to watch the fun. Lord Devour nodded with a smile. Under Jita's lead, Yi Qinghan and Jita teleported to the teleportation formation. Then, they teleported to the high sky outside. When Yi Qinghan appeared in the sky, the demon monarchs, masters of the venerable palace, and the patriarchs of the big families in the Dragon Sun City were shaken. They immediately teleported to Yi Qinghan's side. Why do they make such a big scene? It's just a few low-grade demon monarchs. Can't they fly? Yi Qinghan smiled leisurely. With a flip of his hand, the slaughter god's saber appeared in his hand. He sent his divine sense into it and said, Xiao He, it's time to do it. There's a lot of energy waiting for you to devour. Hee boss. Watch me, Lord Xiao He. Xiao He chuckled and turned into a shadow that flew out of the slaughter god's saber. He circled around Yi Qinghan a few times before turning into an overwhelming gust of wind that floated towards the black air current in the sky. Oh my God! Divine Emperor Supremacy, am I seeing things? What kind of monster is this? He's actually devouring the aura of the demon monarchs? Countless divine senses were quietly probing Yi Qinghan's side. They wanted to see how Yi Qinghan suppressed those demon monarchs. Unexpectedly, Yi Qinghan only took out a black battle saber and waved the weapon spirit inside. That weapon spirit actually turned into a green gust of wind and started to devour large amounts of demon aura. The black demon aura in the sky started to decrease at a speed visible to the naked eye. Jita had already seen Xiao Hei's terrifying devouring ability and was not surprised. Yi Qinghan looked around and grinned. Looking at the shocked beast deity beside him, he smiled and said, "Great ancestor, do you believe that I am not lying now? With Xiao Hei around, no matter how many demon monarchs come, they will just be sending themselves to death. As for those hidden demon monarchs, once all the demon aura is devoured, they will naturally show their true forms. With Xiao Hei's ability, he can easily devour them. We don't even need to do anything. We can just stand here and watch the show." Chapter 1275. In the sky, a blue gust of wind swept in all directions. Even Jita and the others felt suffocated from the pressure coming from it. Under the blue gust of wind, the dark cloud-like demonic aura above Flame Dragon City was completely swallowed. The demonic sun's light that hadn't been seen for a long time once again shone around Flame Dragon City. The few residents of Flame Dragon City were instantly overjoyed. Countless messages spread throughout the divine realm. Frigid Night Monarch had made a move. His move was earth-shattering. The demonic aura above Flame Dragon City was immediately swept away. The divine realm was saved. Joy spread like a plague in the divine realm. Hundreds of millions of martial artists all shouted Frigid Night Monarch's name. Countless people cried and knelt on the ground to pray. Happiness came too suddenly. Everyone couldn't accept it. Xiao Hei's speed of swallowing was too fast. In the blink of an eye, all the demonic aura above Dragon Sun Manor was swallowed. Then, Xiao Hei headed north. Like a surging tide, he covered all the demonic aura in the sky and swallowed it. 6 hours. In just 6 hours, all the demonic aura above the floating continent was swallowed. The entire floating continent was once again bathed in the warm light of the demonic sun. The news spread throughout the divine realm. The martial artists of the divine realm cheered again. A day later, 1/3 of the divine realm's sky regained its light. However, Xiao Hei flew back and stopped swallowing. Yi Qinghan had also returned to Flame Dragon City, and everyone was dumbfounded by what they saw. Why did he stop halfway through? He was clearly about to climax, but he softened. Wasn't he just hanging everyone's appetite? Yi Qinghan didn't explain to them. Even when Blood Knight Monarch and the others came to ask, Yi Qinghan didn't explain. He just told them to go back and calm the army. These devil monarchs couldn't escape. Xiao Hei had yet to refine the chaos divine crystal he had swallowed. Now that he had swallowed so much demonic aura formed from the power of darkness, there was too much energy in his soul. He needed to refine it before he could continue swallowing. Yi Qinghan did not care about what the people of the divine world thought of him. He lived in the Seal God Valley leisurely. Every day he would play chess with Jita. When he was free, he would accompany his women and guide his children in their cultivation. Half a year later, Xiao Hei came out of seclusion. This time, Xiao Hei did not stop. In one breath, he continuously devoured the demonic aura. 3 days later, most of the demonic aura in the sky of the immortal world was devoured. There was only a small cluster of demonic aura near the green hills in the south. These few bastards are hiding here. Without the demonic aura, they can't hide their true bodies. Xiao Hei go. Yi Qinghan brought beast god Jita, Zhu Yi, and a group of devil monarchs to the south of the immortal world. Apart from Yi Qinghan and Jita, everyone gathered their spatial power. They were extremely nervous. They were prepared to suppress the demonic aura once the true bodies of the devil monarchs appeared. Don't move. Watch me, Lord Xiao Hei. Xiao Hei circled around Yi Qinghan a few times. Then, he looked at everyone proudly and turned into a gust of wind, sweeping towards the south. Hiss, as expected. As the demonic aura decreased, the devil monarchs hiding inside could no longer hide. 6 clusters of demonic aura quickly gathered and turned into 6 ferocious devil monarchs. Evil humans, your doomsday is here. The great ancestor demon Lord Aogu is now leading all the devil monarchs and citizens of the sacred world towards the immortal world. He will descend tomorrow. Surrender quickly, and I will preserve your consciousness. Otherwise, your souls will be destroyed, and you will fall into the azure sea forever. An extremely cold and evil voice sounded. How powerful would the aura of the 6 devil monarchs be? The expressions of the supremacies behind Yi Qinghan could be seen. All the supremacies began to tremble. Their eyes shone with fear. Their eyes were also slightly bloodshot. It was obvious that they were being attacked by the demonic aura. Yi Qinghan was furious. He was the boss of the immortal world. Now, there was a foreign race in his territory. How dare they threaten his subordinates? How preposterous! How dare they rebel? He immediately circulated the power of cold and suppressed the aura of the 6 devil monarchs. He shouted angrily, Mother Asterisk, do you think I am afraid of you? Look at the blade in my hand. This is the sacred weapon of your demon world. Let me tell you, I have been to your demon world and killed a few devil monarchs. Your ancestor demon is leading the troops here? Good. I will kill as many as you come. The next day, I will lead the immortal world army and wipe out all the creatures of your demon world. The demon world will become the second immortal world. Shall I do it? It would have been fine if Yi Qinghan had not released his aura. The moment he released his aura, all the supremacies were shaken and fell. They felt as if countless mountains were pressing down on them. Other than the beast god and kid, who was beside Yi Qinghan, the rest of the devil monarchs swayed and almost fell. It was only when Yi Qinghan shouted and retracted his aura, allowing Xiao He to make his move, that they heaved a sigh of relief. They hurriedly wiped the sweat off their faces. This Lord Xiao He easily swallowed one of your devil monarchs in the past. Today there are 6 of you. It will be a little difficult. However, this Lord Xiao He plans to challenge you. Die! After the devil monarchs appeared, Xiao He only formed his soul-devouring beast body and watched from the side. The moment Yi Qinghan gave the order, he immediately grinned and turned into a gust of wind again, enveloping the 6 devil monarchs. Ah! What kind of monster is this? Supreme Ancestor, Devil God Emperor, save us. This is blasphemy against the devils. When the Ancestor, Devil God, leads his army here tomorrow, the entire immortal world will fall into the azure sea forever. The bodies of the 6 devil monarchs were corroded and swallowed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Their bodies turned into devil aura and fled in all directions. However, Xiao He's devouring speed was too fast. It would have been fine if their bodies had not dispersed, but now that they had dispersed, their strength became weaker. Before they could completely escape the range of Xiao He's wind, they were all completely corroded and swallowed. When Xiao He finished devouring and turned into a palm-sized soul-devouring beast, he flew toward Yi Qinghan. All the venerables who had just flown up were dumbfounded. Even many devil monarchs' expressions changed. It was really like master, like beast. Yi Qinghan was the immortal world's #1 monster. After cultivating for 100 years, his overall strength reached grade 9. After cultivating for 10,000 years, he reached grade 9 supreme martial artist and killed Xiong. He was as monstrous as he could be. At this moment, one of his battle beasts had clearly used the soul-devouring transformation and should have died, but it did not die. Instead, it had become so monstrous, Xiao He was so monstrous that they shuddered in the depths of their souls. If Xiao He's wind swept them in, would they be able to resist? I can't, boss. There's too much energy. I need to sleep for a while and refine it in seclusion. Xiao He ignored the horrified gazes of the crowd and transmitted his voice to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's body shook and his face lit up. He immediately transmitted his voice back. Sleep for a while? Are you going to evolve? I don't know. I can't feel it. However, there's so much energy. Maybe after I finish refining it, I will evolve again. Xiao He shook his head and directly entered the Slaughter God Blade. He fell into a deep sleep. Yi Qinghan sighed helplessly and flew towards the Flame Dragon City. Originally, he thought that Xiao He would be able to hold on for a while longer. Then he would bring him to the transfer plane and kill all the demons there. He would destroy the teleportation portal that the demon realm had painstakingly built and completely cut off the demon realm's path of attack. In the past, the demon realm entered the Nepha's abyss from the dimensional battlefield under the leadership of the three ancestor devils. However, they were stopped by the Battle Emperor and all the experts of the immortal world. In the end, under the powerful restrictions of the Battle Emperor, all of them were killed and suppressed. However, the demon realm did not give up, especially because of the relationship between the three ancestor devils and the supreme slaughter god Blade. Hence, one of the strongest genius monarchs of the demon realm traveled a long distance from the Wuji Void. He almost exhausted all of his power of darkness before he arrived at the immortal world. He used the remaining evil aura to secretly control a material plane and used all of his energy to build a saint teleportation portal. It was used as a springboard for the demon realm to attack the immortal world. Yi Qinghan had the power of frost. After killing Shinta Xiong, he was not afraid of the ancestor devils of the demon realm. However, the evil aura was too domineering. If it was really like what the demon monarch said, and the demon realm attacked from all planes, the fate of the immortal world would be uncertain. After returning to the Flame Dragon City, Yi Qinghan stood in the plaza and looked up at the void. A look of worry flashed across his eyes. He shook his head and sighed. I hope the demon realm will not really launch a large-scale attack. Even if they do, they will not attack so quickly. Otherwise, I will be forced to leave my home after only being the boss of the immortal world for a few days. That will be, God damn it. Chapter 1276. The people of the divine realm did not know about Yi Qinghan's worries. Although many sovereigns and venerables heard the threats of the devil monarchs, no one took it to heart. Weren't the devil monarchs, which were like mountains on top of the divine realm, easily devoured by Yi Qinghan's war beasts? This soul-devouring beast did not die even after using the soul-devouring transformation and became so powerful. So what if the devil realm had more devil monarchs? Moreover, Xiaohe was already so powerful. Wouldn't his boss, Yi Qinghan, who could kill Shinta Xiong, be even more powerful? Many people in the divine realm even compared Yi Qinghan to the strongest expert of the divine realm in ancient times, the patriarch of the fire god tribe, Zhurong. There were even more ridiculous people who compared Yi Qinghan to a divine emperor. Shinta Xiong's strength reached the peak of the 9th grade supreme martial artist. If Yi Qinghan could kill him, what else could it be but a divine emperor? In fact, Yi Qinghan did not know what level his strength was. In terms of laws, Yi Qinghan was actually a 7th grade war god. In terms of souls, Yi Qinghan's soul skills could easily kill a 9th grade war god. In terms of treasures, with the fire god battle armor, Yi Qinghan could survive against a 9th grade supreme martial artist. Finally, in terms of the power of cold, no one knew what level Yi Qinghan's strength was. I'm a mother of asterisk king monster. Yi Qinghan muttered to himself as he sat on the Wanderer Island north of the soul-devouring city. In the distance, Yao Ji, Huiyin, Lingair, Li Shui, and the others were enjoying the scenery. Of course, such a bleak scene could only be considered as an autumn stroll. Yi Qinghan sat alone on a hillside and began to sort out the messy thoughts in his mind. The power of cold appeared inexplicably. Until now, Yi Qinghan did not know why such a strange energy appeared in his soul space. This energy was actually above all other types of energy, causing the might of the Godslayer spear to increase by several times. With Shinta Xiong's cultivation at 9th grade sovereign realm, the spatial energy he condensed was so domineering, but it was still weaker than the cold energy. In the past, Yi Qinghan was busy killing Shinta Xiong, chasing after him, and cultivating. He never had the time to calm down and think about it and analyze it. At this moment, everything was finally settled. No one could threaten the lives of him and his loved ones anymore. Only then did Yi Qinghan let fireworks and the others have fun on their own. He sat there alone, thinking quietly. Once again, Yi Qinghan used his divine sense to explore the soul space. Looking at this strange soul space, he felt very upset. The origin fragment completely enveloped the soul ocean and turned into billions of stars. The power of thunder, darkness, and light, as well as the mysterious power from Monarch Yanran and the Dark Phoenix tribe's Vitaline, turned into countless gusts of wind and blew around the billions of stars. In the center, a huge ball of cold energy stood proudly like a monarch. Not a single bit of energy dared to blow over. The more Yi Qinghan looked, the more he felt that the soul space was like a garbage dump filled with all sorts of rubbish. Why do I feel that this soul space is getting more and more familiar? Right? The last time I was in the reincarnation mystic realm, when Shinta Xiong came out, I also had this feeling. What does this soul space look like? Why do I feel a sense of familiarity? Yi Qinghan's brows furrowed in confusion, forming a crease on his forehead. But he was stuck and he could not understand. After a while, he retracted his divine sense and opened his eyes. Soul space, soul space. What kind of weird thing are you? Yi Qinghan let out a long breath and looked up at the endless sky. It was as if he could see through the sky and see the endless void. Suddenly, Yi Qinghan's body suddenly shook. His eyes shot out a brilliant light. He opened his eyes wide and stared at the endless sky. After a long time, he said with a trembling voice, "Endless void, endless void. Why does this young master's soul space look so similar to the endless void? Billions of stars, billions of planes, cool breeze, space-shattering blade current, soul space, plate boundary." The more Yi Qinghan thought about it, the more he felt that it was similar, because at this moment, he sensed that those origin fragments had surrounded the soul ocean fragments, forming a sealed space. And as the soul space grew, it was getting bigger, big and small, and countless planes. It was unimaginable. Motherf asterisk Kerr. If my soul space really became another plate boundary, then wouldn't I be the god of creation? Impossible, impossible. There is no space vortex in the soul space, no black hole, and the ghastly wind is not the space-shattering blade flow. Moreover, there is no cold power in the endless void. This soul sea is definitely not a world. Tui, what the hell is this power of cold? Yi Qinghan cried out. Fortunately, Yao Ji and the others had gone to the other side of the island and were watching the scenery from the seaside. Otherwise, they would think that Yi Qinghan had gone crazy and was spouting nonsense. Your cold energy is not called cold energy. It's called primordial energy. At this moment, an old and somewhat familiar voice suddenly rang out beside Yi Qinghan, scaring Yi Qinghan half to death and causing him to jump up. Who is it? Yi Qinghan was like a frightened hedgehog. He instantly opened his divine sense and circulated the cold energy. 10 God Slayer spears revolved around his body, ready to attack at any time. As the leader of the immortal realm, who would dare to suddenly appear next to him and speak to him so rudely without asking for permission? Although this voice was somewhat familiar, he knew very well that it was definitely not someone he knew. In fact, he really had never seen this person before. When Yi Qinghan's divine sense detected a lone boat slowly sailing over from the distant seaside, he saw a barefooted, white-haired old man in linen clothes standing on the boat. Yi Qinghan's entire body tensed up to its limit. He even wanted to use the 10 God Slayer spears to stab the old man's head in the next second. However, he didn't move in the end. It wasn't because he was being cautious, but because he didn't dare. A fatal premonition appeared in his heart, and a thought automatically appeared in his mind. This person wasn't someone he could defeat. If he attacked, he would be turned into ashes. Most importantly, he didn't sense any energy fluctuations from this old man's body. However, the small boat seemed to be moving slowly, but it was actually flying over at a frighteningly fast speed. Strangely, Yao Ji, Yi Qingyu, and the others in the distance didn't seem to see or sense the old man. They were still fooling around. Yi Qinghan had seen many strange things in his life, and he himself was a freak. However, the strange scene this time terrified him. His heart turned cold, and his bones froze. An expert who had appeared out of nowhere was so ridiculously strong that he, a peak ninth-grade supreme martial artist, didn't even have the courage to fight. Other than the manager of the Plate Realm, the Divine Emperor Supreme, he couldn't think of anyone else. What was the Divine Emperor Supreme doing here? Yi Qinghan thought about the destruction of the Divine World, the 10 ancient clans, more than 29th grade supreme martial artists, and more than 109th grade supreme martial artists killed, and his heart turned cold. Your cold power isn't called cold power. It's called primordial power. Thinking about what the old man had said, Yi Qinghan's heart was filled with despair. He knows about my soul mutation? If he knows about cold power, he will definitely come to kill me. A heretic, a monster who is different from the Plate Realm's martial artists. However, just as Yi Qinghan was about to give up and fight to the death, he saw the old man's boat stop 10,000 miles away. Then he smiled at him. Second person, keep up the good work. I look forward to our next meeting. Second person, keep up the good work. I look forward to our next meeting. The old voice rang out once more, reverberating in Yi Qinghan's ears, causing him to tremble. Then, the old man turned and left. The boat slowly floated into the distance, but in just a few blinks of an eye, it disappeared from Yi Qinghan's divine sense. It disappeared without a trace, as if it had never been there. Huh. The laughter of fireworks and the others could be heard faintly, but Yi Qinghan felt as if he was in a dream. He wiped the cold sweat off his face and scanned the divine world with his divine sense again and again, but he still couldn't find the old man. Yi Qinghan bit his tongue hard. It hurt. He was bleeding. His blood was salty. It wasn't a dream. He stood by the seaside and looked at the sky and sea in the distance. Blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and his eyes were dazed. He murmured, "Second person, it's the second person again? Last time in that dusky space, I didn't hear wrongly. Who is this old man? Is he really a divine Emperor Supreme? What does he mean? Why does this young master feel an indescribable sadness in his balls?" Chapter 1277. The old man in hempen robes came and left quietly. 2 words drifting in the air, like a huge mountain. He pressured Yi Qinghan to the point that she couldn't breathe. Soul mutation always gave Yi Qinghan an inexplicable sense of fear. Originally, his soul came from Earth and crossed over to this world. He felt like a stowaway, a freak. The mutation of his soul made him feel like he had completely turned into a monster. A monster that went against the rules of heaven and earth and the laws of nature. Therefore, he didn't even tell his closest wife about this secret. Other than Xiaohe and the dead war emperor, no one else knew. Xiaohe didn't have any ulterior motives. Even if Yi Qinghan became a demon, he wouldn't mind. Therefore, Yi Qinghan wasn't worried. But now a stranger suddenly showed up, an outrageously strong man who was very likely to be the manager of this world. A divine emperor, supreme master. He abruptly told Yi Qinghan that the secret hidden in the depths of her soul was in his palm. Would Yi Qinghan be frightened? Would he feel suffocated? If the old man was an ordinary warrior, Yi Qinghan would kill him without hesitation. He had hidden this secret, but this person actually made him unable to summon the slightest bit of fighting spirit. Therefore, Yi Qinghan sat on the hill, looking at the clouds in the sky and the ebb and flow of the tide in the distance. His heart was filled with sadness. Yi Qinghan sat on the hillside for 3 days and 3 nights. Fireworks and the rest actually wanted to come over, but the meticulous Yu Qingqing delayed them. Yu Qingqing sensed that there was something wrong with Yi Qinghan's mood. He was in a lonely and desolate atmosphere. She didn't dare to disturb him. She wanted him to calm down and think about it. Yu Qingqing was right. After 3 days, Yi Qinghan thought things through. He thought things through for now. Originally, I was already dead on Earth. For my soul to be able to transmigrate here, it can be said that I've seized the fate of the heavens and lived another life. Since he came to this world, he would have definitely died many times. At this moment, he could still stand here and enjoy the scenery and listen to the sound of the tide. What more could I ask for? If the divine emperor thinks that I have violated the laws of heaven and earth and the laws of nature, if you want to erase me from this world, then so be it. In this life, I have stood at the peak of the fire dragon continent, at the peak of the god realm. I have so many beautiful wives. What else can I not be satisfied with? As long as I wait for Xiaohei to regain his true form, I will have no regrets even if I die. Yi Qinghan stretched his body and looked at the horizon in the distance. A relieved smile appeared on his face. Didn't the Divine Emperor Supreme come this time? He did not take his life, which meant that he still had some years to live. As long as they worked hard to resurrect Xiaohei, it would not be a big deal even if he died. He turned his head and looked behind him. Not far from him, 8 beautiful women with different styles were sitting together. Seeing that he turned his head and all of them had sweet smiles on their faces, he was in a good mood. He strode toward them and said with a smile, "Let's go back to soul-devouring city." A luxurious chariot rose into the air, and 8 beautiful women with graceful figures and unique style sat in the chariot with a handsome azure-robed man, who gave off a domineering aura without being angry. That scene was like an ancient celestial emperor traveling. It was majestic and domineering, making others envious. The war chariot slowly landed on the rooftop of soul-devouring city. Lord Jiao, who was sitting quietly on the rooftop, immediately came to welcome them. However, Lord Devour, who liked to read under the grape trellis, was nowhere to be seen. "Where's Lord? Where's Shui and Yao Yao?" Yi Qinghan smiled and nodded at Lord Jiao. Everyone sat down on the grape trellis. The devil monarch was destroyed, and the god realm temporarily regained its peace. Lord Devour returned to soul-devouring city. Kid was still the lord of the misty continent. The hidden sovereign became the lord of the south mountain continent. Zhu Yi became the new lord of stars. As for the beast god and Yi Feihu, they returned to the beast god's secret realm. Zhu Yi had ambition, but the beast god did not. Moreover, Yi Qinghan was from the beast god's bloodline. Yi Qinghan becoming the lord of the god realm was tantamount to the beast god's bloodline ruling over the god realm. Lord brought Miss Yao Yao to the god realm to play. When we were in the fire dragon continent, Lord promised Yao Yao that as long as he returned to the god realm, he would accompany her to all the fun places in the god realm. Miss Shui has returned to Dripping Spring City. They told me to inform Xiaohei when he comes out of seclusion, and they will rush over immediately. Lord Jiao served everyone a cup of tea and then stood gracefully at the side. Yi Qinghan and the ladies looked at each other and smiled. They recalled that the Devil Devourer was exactly the same as Xiaohei, playful, impulsive, and eager to see the world in chaos. This trip would probably give Lord Devour a headache again. "Little Han, there's something I don't know if I should say." Everyone was chatting and laughing, talking about the anecdotes of Yao Yao's childhood. Lord Jiao, however, had a worried expression on his face as he looked at Yi Qinghan and spoke in a low voice. Yi Qinghan laughed and said, "Oh, what is it? Is it because Lord isn't here, and Emperor Yi is pestering you again?" When the ladies heard this, they all looked at Lord Jiao and covered their mouths as they laughed. Firework continued. Jiao, Emperor Yi has been very good these years. He hasn't flirted around and is sincere to you. You should consider it carefully. It's not about that." Lord Jiao was teased by Yi Qinghan and the others, and she could no longer be graceful. She stamped her feet and said shyly, "It's about Lord." "Lord? What's wrong with Jiao?" Yao Ji asked curiously as everyone stopped laughing. Lord Jiao said worriedly, "Lord, her behavior has been a little strange recently. She often sits here alone and doesn't let anyone come near, not even me. Sometimes she sits there for a few days. I secretly found out that she would cry alone, and she would sit there for a whole night. She even went to the Soul Emperor Pavilion 3 times. When you and young lady Yao Yao and Shui came, her mood became better. Jiao is very worried." Yi Qinghan's face darkened, and the ladies' faces also darkened. They all knew about the matter between Lord Devour and the Soul Emperor. It could be said that Yi Qinghan's rise was because Lord Devour wanted to take revenge for the Soul Emperor. No one knew how deep Lord Devour's feelings for the Soul Emperor were. However, Lord Devour had quietly struggled for so many years in order to take revenge for the Soul Emperor. He had never given up so they could see some clues. A woman had secretly fallen in love with a man who didn't love her back. That man had accompanied her to the end of the world, without any complaints, just because that man had turned around and smiled at her one day. However, that man had fallen in love with someone else. She had watched the man she loved marry another woman and have children. She could only hide her sorrow in her heart and force a smile on her face. Later on, that man and his wife had died, leaving behind a little son. She wiped her tears resolutely and took her son back to the Fire Dragon continent, hiding there. She had been accumulating her power in silence to take revenge alone. No one knew how bitter she had been. No one knew how sorrowful she had been. At this moment, she had finally taken her revenge. Her rock-like heart finally relaxed, and the obsession in her heart was finally put down. Thus, she was no longer strong. She started to miss that man, and she started to grieve silently. Lord Devour's life was a legend, a lonely life, and also a tragic life. Yi Qinghan sighed deeply, turning to Yao Ji and talking seriously. If you don't have anything to do, you should come and accompany her more. She's a lonely woman, a woman worthy of respect. Chapter 1278. The Devil Monarch was killed. The sky of the divine realm was once again shrouded in the warm light of the demonic sun. The divine realm was once again bustling with activity. Yi Qinghan had also freed himself from the shackles in his heart. He no longer worried about his soul mutation and started to get down to business. Shinta and Shinta Xiong's youngest son, hidden in a small mystic realm, was mercilessly killed. It wasn't that Yi Qinghan was vicious, but he wasn't sure when he would die. The divine emperor's supremacy was like a sharp sword hanging over his head. He had to think for his descendants. He did not want Shinta Xiong's descendants to carry the hatred of their ancestors in millions of years and mercilessly take revenge on the Yi family. Yi Qinghan did not kill the elders of the War God Pavilion. He also forbade everyone from taking revenge on Shinta Xiong's old subordinates. He also announced that the divine realm was strictly prohibited from killing for no reason. Conflicts, disputes, and hatred were to be resolved in the arena. The official army of the entire continent was unified. If there was any private killing, they would be killed without mercy. Fight? Want to gain experience? Go to the wild. The beasts multiply fast. Under the star sea, there are enough sea beasts to kill for 1,000,000 years. After that, Yi Qinghan began to select the elites from the divine realm and all the material planes, and gathered them in the new Flame Dragon Sacred City. Yi Qinghan did not plan to let outsiders live in the Flame Dragon City. Only the descendants of the Yi family were qualified to live there. Yi Qinghan built the largest city on the continent, the Flame Dragon Sacred City, not far from the Flame Dragon City. The new city lord, Yi Qinghan, was prepared to give it to Lei Jin, who was still in seclusion, to break through to rank 9. Outsiders were not allowed to live in the Flame Dragon Sacred City. All the residents were elites chosen by Yi Qinghan from all over the continent. Yi Qinghan gave these elites a huge amount of resources and treasures. The mysterious map, the dream palace, they were free to use. Since ancient times, the overall strength of the divine realm had reached its lowest point in history. There were pitifully few rank 9 experts. The battle between Yi Qinghan and Shinta Xiong had also caused the God realm to lose a portion of its peak experts. The God world couldn't afford internal strife. It needed to have more experts. That way, they wouldn't be defeated in the planar wars, and the God world wouldn't fall into enemy hands. Of course, there was one more thing. Yi Qinghan didn't know if the Supreme God Emperor would come to take his life. Therefore, he launched the plan to create a strong expert to prepare a way out. Unifying these geniuses and elites to train, nurture, and gain experience was a little like pulling up seedlings to help them grow. Experts nurtured in this way would definitely not be as strong as those who had broken through in battle. However, this way, these geniuses would be better protected and wouldn't die prematurely. Of course, there was another more important point. These geniuses and elites had grown up with Yi Qinghan's stories. They were extremely loyal and fanatical to Yi Qinghan. Even if he was killed by the supreme God Emperor in the future, even if these people were no longer loyal to the Yi family, they would still take care of the Yi family, Yi Qinghan's sons and daughters, as well as the elite disciples of the Flame Dragon Continent and the Flame Dragon Island. All of them stayed with the ordinary geniuses and elites. There was no difference in treatment. If you had the ability, talent, and diligent cultivation, you would have more resources and a chance to rise. Otherwise, you could only return to the Flame Dragon City and live a carefree life. Yu Qingcheng presided over the harem. All the disciples of the Yi family, the people of the Flame Dragon City, the people of the Flame Dragon Island, and the elite disciples who had migrated from the Beast God Continent were under her management. Yu Qingcheng mercilessly punished all the disciples who had committed crimes. Not long ago, one of Feng Zi's sons used his father's relationship with Yi Qinghan to form a faction in the Holy City, oppressing the other disciples. He even fought and killed an elite genius. When Yu Qingcheng heard about it, she destroyed his cultivation and sent him back to the Flame Dragon Continent, never to step into the Divine Realm. Even Feng Zi put down his pride and came to the Divine Realm to beg for mercy. Yi Qinghan waited for 10 years. When he found that Xiaohe had not come out of seclusion, he had no choice. He started to clean up the Fiend Realm's transit plane in the Divine Realm. Before the 5 Devil Monarchs died, they said that the Fiend Realm's ancestor devil was going to attack the Divine Realm. The people in the Divine Realm were not afraid, but Yi Qinghan had to take it seriously. Lord Devour was still playing with the Demon Devourer. They would stop here for a while and stay for a while. Yi Qinghan did not want to disturb her. He discussed with Zhu Yi, Beast God Kid, and the others for a while, bringing Beast God Zhu Yi, Yi Feihu, and Supremacy Li Quan. They rode on the Beast God Palace and flew towards the endless void. Beast God Zhu Yi and Yi Feihu could not enter that material plane. They only let the 3 of them receive them outside. Yi Qinghan planned to go in alone. It would be best if he could clean up all the evil demons inside. If not, he could destroy the teleportation formation inside. The Beast God Palace flew at full speed. 2 months later, they arrived outside the material plane. You guys fly around this plane? Lord Li Quan, bring me down. Yi Qinghan said a few words and let Supremacy Li Quan bring him towards the material plane. Actually, Venerable Li Quan's role in following them this time was to do hard labor. Supremacy Li Quan was a pseudo-grade 9 and could enter material planes. Yi Qinghan had used up a lot of his cold energy in the battle with Shinta Xiong. He could not waste it recklessly. Therefore, he let Li Quan follow him. Yi Qinghan's divine senses had already spread out. He easily found a weak spot in the space. Under his guidance, Li Quan flew towards it. Once he stepped on the origin source, Yi Qinghan's divine senses immediately went through the weak spot in the space and quietly probed the material plane. However, he probed with his divine senses but felt nothing but darkness. He could not sense anything. The evil demon aura inside was terrifyingly dense. Yi Qinghan did not dare to spread his divine senses wide. After hesitating for a moment, he did not choose to enter. Instead, he transmitted his voice to Li Quan, Beast God, and the others. Pay attention. Prepare for battle. After saying that, Yi Qinghan spread his divine senses wide. He used all his strength to penetrate the evil demon aura inside the material plane and scanned it. Hiss, Kiki. As expected, Yi Qinghan's probing immediately alarmed the abyssal experts inside. Countless abyssal experts roared and locked onto Yi Qinghan's divine sense, tracking her all the way out. 1 evil demon sovereign, 2 upper grade 9 evil demon sovereigns, and 9 lower grade 9 evil demon sovereigns. There is a huge teleportation array that is still sending evil demons. Yi Qinghan scanned with his divine senses and instantly understood the situation inside. His body shook and his expression changed. Sensing that upper-grade 9 evil demon sovereign, he led all the evil demon sovereigns and flew towards the void. Yi Qing'an immediately shouted, "Li Quan, go to the Beast God Palace. Flee immediately." Li Quan immediately turned into a meteor with Yi Qing'an and flew towards the Beast God Palace in the distance. Beast God also received Yi Qing'an's transmission and quickly flew over to greet him. "Go! Leave this place immediately." Once inside the Beast God Palace, Yi Qing'an immediately shouted. However, his body immediately concealed its aura and became a cripple without any divine power. The Beast God Palace immediately fled far away. Everyone immediately spread out their divine senses and explored that material plane. In the end, everyone was shocked when they saw it. Outside that material plane, black smoke came out first. Then, black fog came out from all directions. In just the blink of an eye, it enveloped the entire material plane, covering the sky and earth. It was pitch black. Then, the black fog quickly turned into countless black swords and chased after the Beast God Palace. Chapter 1279. The Beast God Temple's speed was fast, and Yi Qing'an immediately ordered the Beast God to leave, so there was some distance between them and the black fog. After a while, the black fog seemed to be a little afraid and actually retreated slowly, finally burrowing back into the material plane. The Beast God heaved a sigh of relief and said, "The black fog in the middle has great pressure. Little Han, is that the Demon Lord?" Yi Qing'an nodded and said solemnly, "Yes, it is indeed the Demon Lord. There are also 5 upper 9th grade demon monarchs and 9 lower 9th grade demon monarchs. There are at least hundreds of billions of low-level demons in that material plane now. And there is a transportation array that is continuously sending demons over." Everyone's expression changed greatly. Plus, when Yi Qing'an probed, they did not fight and immediately ordered to escape. They could not help but feel anxious. The Beast God and Zhu Yi looked at each other and said seriously, "Then what should we do? Little Han, do you have a way to kill them?" "I'm not sure. I don't have enough cold power. If there is no 9th grade supreme martial artist, it will be easy." Yi Qing'an sighed deeply and shook his head. "Xiao He is in a deep sleep now, and I don't know when he will wake up. Sai, if we could delay the attack and wait for Xiao He to wake up, wait for me to accumulate some cold power, I will definitely win." Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. Yi Qing'an's cold power was not enough. If he ran out of cold power in the middle of the battle and was demonized, the consequences would be unimaginable. But if they did not eliminate these demons now, when all the experts of the demon realm were transported over, they would attack the immortal realm from all directions. They might be able to escape, but if hundreds of millions of martial artists were demonized, the immortal realm would become another demon realm. Even if Yi Qing'an accumulated power in the future and Xiao He woke up, what use would it be if the people of the immortal realm were all dead? Yi Qing'an stood up angrily and let out a long sigh. He said weakly, Time, how could it be so coincidental?" "Time?" Zhu Yi's limpid eyes began to move. Her brows, which were like distant mountains, were slightly knitted together. After a moment, her brows relaxed and her beautiful eyes suddenly lit up. She shouted, "I have an idea." What is it?" Yi Qing'an suddenly turned around. Beast Deity Knight, Flying Tiger Li Quan's eyes also immediately locked onto Zhu Yi's beautiful face. Zhu Yi smiled brightly, stunning everyone. Then, she said in an enigmatic tone, "Time. What we lack now is time. So, we only need to delay the demon realm's attack for a while. There was no need to fight them to the death immediately. In the future, when we have absolute confidence in winning, we will start an all-out war. Of course I know that. The problem is how do we delay it?" Yi Qing'an's tiger-like eyes turned cold, glaring at Zhu Yi. Sure enough, if this woman didn't smoke for a few days, she would go to the tile-roofed house again. At such a crucial moment, she still dares to keep him guessing? Under Yi Qing'an's glare, the smile on Zhu Yi's face suddenly became somewhat awkward. She looked at Yi Ching Han with hidden bitterness, not daring to make trouble. She honestly said, "We only need to use the beast deity temple to lure out their experts again, but we won't escape immediately. Instead, we'll keep them hanging. Then, Han Yi Darren, you will quietly enter the material plane from another direction and destroy their transportation array. Be careful. Don't destroy it. Just destroy it." "Good idea." Yi Ching Han and beast deity Li Quan pondered for a while. Their eyes immediately lit up. They all smiled, looking at Zhu Yi with great admiration. Yi Feihu, on the other hand, asked in confusion, "Why destroy it? Not destroy it? Wouldn't it be better to completely destroy it and cut off their path?" Yi Ching Han trio burst into laughter. The beast deity hurriedly explained, "This is the ingenious part of the Queen's plan. If it's destroyed, the evil devil realm won't be able to teleport over, and their way back would also be cut off. What do you think they'll do?" "That's right. It really is a good plan." Yi Feihu slapped his thigh and stood up, his face full of excitement. If the transportation array was destroyed, these evil devils would have no way out. They could only risk their lives and attack the God realm. At that time, it would definitely be a bloody battle. If it was only destroyed, then they would feel that there was still hope and think of a way to repair it. Once they were done repairing it, they would destroy it again after a period of time. In the end, Yi Ching Han would accumulate a little more cold energy. Most importantly, when that strange soul-devouring beast wakes up, would these evil devils still have anything to fear? Everyone immediately discussed with excited expressions. After a while, all the details were settled. The beast deity temple cut through the void and flew towards that material plane. On the other side of the material plane, Yi Ching Han quietly came out and immediately entered the War Imperial Palace. He held a jade talisman in his hand. As long as the beast deity crushed the jade talisman, he would be able to sense it and immediately act according to plan. When Yi Ching Han was done hiding, the beast deity and the others immediately went to the other side of the material plane. Then, Zhu Yi teleported out. First, her divine sense and scrupulously probed through the weak points of space. Then, the power of space condensed, and the 1,000-layered waves crashed down on the material plane. Boom! Although Zhu Yi's attack had not reached the peak of a martial artist, it was not to be underestimated. The material plane was the smallest plane. Giant waves, thousands of meters high, each layer surging higher than the last, slammed into the material plane. A series of earth-shattering sounds rang out, and the entire material plane began to shake incessantly, as if it was going to collapse in the next second. Chi-Chi. Zhu Yi's provocation successfully angered the demon supreme, Ancient Ancestor Demon inside. Ancient Ancestor Demon immediately flew out with a group of demon monarchs. Black fog once again shrouded the nearby void. Hateful humans actually wanted to destroy this material plane and grind them into pieces in the spatial distortion. All the demon monarchs were enraged and rushed toward Zhu Yi, who had fled into the Beast God Palace. Fall! The beast deity originally planned to slow down and circle around the demon monarchs. But he saw the most powerful demonic aura in the middle, chasing after the beast deity like black lightning. Its speed was actually a bit faster than the Beast God Palace. He hurriedly controlled the Beast God Palace to escape in panic. "Do it!" Yi Ching Han felt the green jade talisman in his hand vibrate. He immediately flashed out of the Beast God Palace. He circulated the power of frost, protected his body with the power of origin, and activated the fire god battle armor. He ignored the Azura King outside the material plane. He directly shot toward the weak points of space. This material plane was a paradise for demons. It was dark inside, and demons danced wildly. Apart from a golden teleportation array in the center of the continent, the ground was filled with demons. All of their eyes were bloodshot as they stared at Yi Ching Han, the intruder. "Get lost!" Time was tight. When Yi Ching Han appeared, he already felt that the demon monarchs had started to turn around. He hurriedly gathered the power of frost to repel the few Azura kings that were pouncing toward him. 10 God Slayer's spears condensed from the power of frost shot downward. However, he only used 30% of its power. Moreover, the aura that he was releasing now was only the strength of a fake rank 9 martial artist. You actually want to destroy the sacred teleportation array. Human, you want to fall into the Azure Sea? A sinister voice suddenly sounded in the sky. Yi Qinghan's expression changed. However, he sneered in his heart. He had already noticed this superior rank 9 demon guarding the teleportation array. At this moment, in order to put on a show, he pretended to be extremely frightened. After shooting out the 10 God Slayer's spears, he immediately fled into the void. With the protection of the Fire God battle armor, he completely ignored the low-level demon's attacks. Insignificant tricks. The demon monarch sneered. His body turned into 10 black dragons that intercepted Yi Qinghan's 10 God Slayer spears. The 10 black dragons were incomparably domineering. As soon as the 9 God Slayer spears touched them, they immediately exploded. However, there was still one God Slayer spear that actually spun at this moment, directly tearing apart the black dragon that intercepted it. Then, it suddenly stabbed toward a corner of the teleportation array. Unfortunately, after the black dragon intercepted it, its power was greatly reduced. It only managed to break a small corner of the teleportation array. Done. Yi Qinghan pretended to be extremely frightened and fled. However, in his heart, he was extremely satisfied with his attack. The control of his strength could be said to be incomparably perfect. If he increased it any more, the teleportation array would not be able to repair itself. Chapter 1280. Hateful human, you dare to destroy the sacred transmission array. The ancestor demon will tear you apart. Don't run. I will kill you. I will make you fall into the Azure Sea forever. As the superior 9th grade demon monarch roared, Yi Qinghan drilled out of the endless void from a weak point in space. Sweeping out with his spiritual sense, Xiaochen saw a few clouds of black fog shooting towards him. Even when they were still 10,000 kilometers away, the strongest cloud of black fog condensed into a huge, ferocious face that was several thousand meters wide. The face roared, "Human, how dare you kill the people of the demon realm? You dare to destroy the sacred transmission array? This king will make the divine world barren." Humph! Yi Qinghan coldly snorted, but pretended to be terrified. The heart of the fire god flashed, and he immediately teleported away. Before Monarch Ao Gu could fly over, the distant beast god temple had already flown over. Zhu Yi flashed out, condensing the power of space, and then unleashing thousand-layer waves. Yi Qinghan teleported into the beast god temple. After Zhu Yi released her attack, she also immediately entered. The beast god controlled the beast god temple and flew away. Ancestor demon, that hateful human, he destroyed the transmission array. He destroyed it, the ancestor demon. Olara is guilty. Olara is guilty. Ao Gu wanted to chase at full speed. He thought that after Yi Qinghan went in, he would be able to easily come out and kill all the demon world disciples inside and destroy the transmission array. Unexpectedly, the demon monarch who had stayed behind had just come out and immediately cried out an apology. When Ao Gu heard this, he flew into a rage, coming to a stop as he cursed. "Fuck your ass. Did you just break it? Or did he break it?" Seeing Ao Gu's anger, Monarch Olara hurriedly explained, "It's broken. It didn't break. It didn't break." That human cultivator's attack was too strange. Olara risked her life to protect it, but was still attacked, and a crack appeared. Ao Gu was overjoyed and immediately stopped chasing after Yi Qinghan and the others. He quickly led the demons into the material plane. "How is it? Lil Han, are you done?" The moment Yi Qinghan entered, the beast god and the other two immediately looked at him nervously. When Yi Qinghan nodded affirmatively, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Although this plan is perfect, we can't be careless. Let's observe for a period of time and go investigate from time to time, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. If the demon monarch could not repair the teleportation formation, they would definitely take the risk and directly attack the divine realm. Everyone hid in the vicinity. From time to time, they would control the beast god palace to float towards the material plane to see if the devil monarch was flying towards the divine world. A month later, the devil army never appeared again. Yi Qinghan finally couldn't hold back anymore. This time, he didn't let Li Quan bring him along. Instead, he let the much stronger Zhu Yi teleport him over. Zhu Yi embarrassedly pulled on Yi Qinghan's hand. Yi Qinghan felt slightly uncomfortable being pulled by Zhu Yi, and the two of them teleported away. Yi Feihu and Venerable Li Quan looked at each other and secretly spat. Even the beast god turned his head away. This adulterous couple. Did they think everyone didn't know about their affair? Acting cool and getting struck by lightning. Acting pure and getting gang raped. Yi Qinghan didn't know that the matter between him and Zhu Yi had long been seen through by everyone. The two of them teleported away. Yi Qinghan immediately used his divine sense to investigate. Zhu Yi condensed her space force and waited for the devil monarch to chase after them. Yi Qinghan used his divine sense to investigate at the fastest speed and immediately shouted, "Zhu Yi, return to the beast god palace." Xiao, hiss. As soon as the two of them entered the beast god palace, Aogu immediately chased after them. However, when he saw the beast god palace fleeing, he cursed a few more times and turned back. "Ha, Zhu Yi, you made a great contribution this time. When we return, I'll definitely reward you. Your plan was very successful. If I'm not wrong, this teleportation array won't be able to be repaired without a few hundred years." Hearing Yi Qinghan's affirmation, everyone was in a good mood. However, hearing that Yi Qinghan wanted to reward Zhu Yi when they returned, Yi Feihu and Li Quan's expressions became strange. Zhu Yi's strength was at the upper 9th grade, and Yi Qinghan didn't have any chaos divine crystals. What could he reward Zhu Yi with? Could it be a reward in bed? Cough, cough. Seeing Yi Feihu and Venerable Li Quan's strange expressions, the beast god's face turned serious. He coughed twice to get them to restrain themselves. Then, he quickly asked about Yi Qinghan's investigation. Yi Qinghan didn't pay attention to their expressions. He beamed with joy as he recounted what he found. In that material plane, several Azura kings were causing squads of low-level abyssals to slaughter each other, causing the dark golden blood that flowed out to drip onto that crack. However, that crack was slowly healing. Although Yi Qinghan didn't understand why they needed to repair it like this, and he didn't understand the principles behind the evil demon teleportation array's construction. However, from the looks of it, it would take several hundred years to repair the evil demon teleportation array. Actually, Yi Qinghan didn't know that this evil demon monarch sacrificed his body and condensed all his energy into this teleportation array. In order to repair it, the evil demon monarch's most precious blood knight was needed. Since those high-level evil demons didn't want to bleed, they could only make these low-level evil demons fight each other. A month later, Yi Qinghan went to investigate again and confirmed that this teleportation array wouldn't be repaired without a few hundred years. The beast god temple started to return. The divine world had just been unified. Without Yi Qinghan, if something happened, it would be troublesome. Yi Qinghan and Zhu Yi Lechuan returned to the divine world. The beast god brought Yi Feihu to continue monitoring this transit plane. In case the evil demon realm launched a large-scale attack, they would be able to warn them in advance. Yi Qinghan returned to Flame Dragon City. After leaving for a few months, the divine world didn't have any major incidents. After returning, Kid and the others immediately paid a visit to ask about the evil demon plane. The threat of the evil demon realm was temporarily resolved. Yi Qinghan was extremely relaxed, and he lived his days leisurely. 3 months later, Flame Dragon City welcomed 2 special guests. Lord Devourer and the Demon Devourer had returned. The Demon Devourer was still like a fairy that walked out of the forest, mischievous and eccentric. However, Lord Devourer was a little off. Yi Qinghan looked at the red-robed Lord Devourer and felt that he had lost a lot of weight. Although his eyes were full of smiles, he couldn't hide his sadness. Xiaohei hasn't woken up yet? The demon devourer ran to look for Yi Qinghan's children to play. Lord Devourer and Yi Qinghan sat in the main hall and chatted. Take out the slaughter god blade. Let me take a look at this kid. Lord Devourer saw Yi Qinghan nod his head, but he suddenly made a strange request. Yi Qinghan didn't mind and took out the slaughter god blade. Lord Devourer took it and used his divine senses to check. When he saw Xiaohei sleeping soundly inside, he revealed a kind and doting smile. Lord Devourer looked at it for a while before returning the blade to Yi Qinghan. He even took out a red booklet and gave it to Yi Qinghan. Without explaining anything, he used his divine senses to check Yao Ji's yard. Without waiting for her to come out, he smiled and left. Watching Lord Devourer's lonely back disappear into the teleportation formation, Yi Qinghan felt an indescribable sadness in his heart. However, this was Lord Devourer's own knot in his heart. No one could help him. Yao Ji walked out curiously. She could sense Lord Devourer's divine senses, but Lord Devourer had already teleported away. She couldn't do anything. Jiao Wu entered the Soul Emperor Pavilion again. Why did she take the Soul Emperor's corpse away? What does she want to do? Little Han, hurry up and check. Yao Ji's body shook. The Soul Emperor Pavilion was on the Soul Emperor Island, but Lord Devourer knew how to control it and could easily use the restrictions to enter. Yao Ji didn't expect that the restrictions of the Soul Emperor Pavilion would flash, so she said in surprise. As Yi Qinghan was about to read the red booklet that Lord Devourer had given him, he was startled. Instinctively, his soul consciousness checked and found that Lord Devourer was in the Misty City, carrying a white jade coffin and entering the teleportation formation of the Flame Dragon Continent. Lord Devourer brought the Soul Emperor's corpse back to the Flame Dragon Continent. Yi Qinghan rubbed his nose embarrassedly, telling Yao Ji what he had found. Yao Ji pondered for a while and then screamed, her face ashen. She screamed, "Little Han, go to the Flame Dragon Continent immediately. Jiao Wu wants to do something stupid. She wants to commit suicide. She's going to accompany the Soul Emperor." What? Yu Qingqing's group felt the strange situation here. As they were walking over, they heard Yao Ji's words. All of them paled, especially Demon Devourer, who was so scared that he slumped on the ground. Go! Yi Qinghan's face darkened. He urged the cold energy and led them away from the teleportation formation. He teleported directly to the teleportation formation of the Flame Dragon Continent in the Misty City. Then he shouted at the two startled guards of the teleportation formation, "Teleport!" Buzz! Two golden teleportation portals appeared in the sky of the Flame Dragon Continent. The warriors of the Flame Dragon Continent didn't care that someone from the God Realm had come back. However, the one who came back today was a little special. All the experts were alerted. A woman in red walked out of the golden teleportation portal. She had a beautiful face, a sweet smile on her face. However, she was carrying a white coffin on her back. The king of the dark forest, the guardian of the Flame Dragon Continent, had returned. All the God Realm experts, including Yi Tianlong, immediately teleported to welcome her. Unexpectedly, Lord Devourer just smiled, not paying attention to them. His calm eyes scanned the Flame Dragon Continent. Then he teleported back to the Dark Castle. Just as everyone was feeling bewildered, another transportation array lit up in the sky. Yi Qinghan led everyone out of it, their faces filled with panic. Boom! Before Yi Qinghan and the others could completely walk out of the teleportation formation, an earth-shattering explosion came from the dark forest in the north. Under the frightened gazes of Yi Qinghan and the others, as well as the countless experts of the Flame Dragon Continent, the entire dark castle collapsed. The restrictive formation in the castle shone brightly, illuminating the sky of the Flame Dragon Continent. The entire castle turned into a pile of ruins. The appearance of the ruins was a little strange, as if it had been deliberately formed under the control of the restrictive formation. The huge castle exploded, but the fragments didn't scatter. Instead, they neatly piled up into a round ball. It was a grave. Great aunt, great aunt. Except for the demon devourer, who was crying at the top of his lungs. Everyone was silent, but their eyes were sparkling. So many people's tears quietly flowed down, turning into rain, drifting in the sky. My name is Devourer Butterfly Dance, the name given to me by the Soul Emperor. He hoped that I would fly happily like a butterfly. I loved peace and didn't like fighting. I liked to nest under a grape trellis by myself, comfortably squinting my eyes as I watched the sun. But the Soul Emperor liked to wander the world, so I left my home and followed him to the God world. I liked the Soul Emperor very much. I liked when he was a soul devourer beast, looking at the sky alone and sorrowful. I liked when he touched my head and called me Lil Wu. I knew that the Soul Emperor didn't love me, and he disliked me because I was a rabbit. So I worked hard to cultivate and became a human, and I even wore the red robes that he liked the most. But he still didn't love me. I could only silently follow him and do everything for him. He didn't like to kill people, so I helped him kill. He didn't like to use strange methods to deal with his enemies, so I helped him do it secretly. But in the end, he still married another woman. That night, I cried. I cried until my heart was broken and my lungs were torn. The Soul Emperor died. My heart was broken. I am no longer called Devour Butterfly Dance. Without the Soul Emperor, I am no longer a butterfly. But I can't go with him. I have to take revenge for him. Even if the enemy is the strongest expert of the God world, so what? I have to pull myself together. I have to raise his son. I want the God world to flow with rivers of blood. Xiao Hei grew up, got married, and even had a cute daughter. She's very smart and eccentric, just like you in the past. Soul Emperor, you have a son. Shintu Xiong is dead. Soul Emperor, I've taken revenge for you. Xiao Hei is still a soul. I wanted to wait for a few more days, wait for little Han to help him rebuild his real body. Then I would go with you. But I found that I can't hold on anymore. I'm tired. I'm really tired. Soul Emperor, I'm here. Butterfly Dance is here to find you. Yi Ching Han blankly read the red booklet that Lord Devourer had left for him. Finally, he couldn't hold it anymore. Tears welled up in his eyes, turning into a flood that fell together with the red booklet, dancing in the air. The butterfly couldn't fly across the sea. It wasn't that she didn't have the courage, but that the other shore couldn't wait anymore. Chapter 1281. Lord Devour's sudden death was hard for them to accept. Everyone stood in front of the dark castle and looked at the huge new grave. In a trance, they felt like they were looking at a field of lush green grapevines and a woman in a fiery red robe who loved to sit quietly under the grapevines, drink tea, and read books. Apparently, the new grave was protected by a barrier that Lord Devour had arranged. However, Yi Ching Han's soul consciousness could still get in easily. Inside the grave, Yi Ching Han could see two people in a white jade coffin. One was a handsome middle-aged man, and the other was a woman in a red robe. The woman was hugging the man tightly, but she wasn't breathing anymore. However, she still had a sweet smile on her face. The group of people around them had already burst into tears. Li Shay, Emperor Yu, Emperor Yi, and all the people that Lord Devour knew were here. Since Jida and the others couldn't come to the material plane, they had to send messengers to mourn Lord Devour and comfort Yi Ching Han. Lord Devour had given Yi Ching Han a new life. The ordinary people of the Fire Dragon continent thought that Yi Ching Han was the god protector of the continent. In fact, Yi Ching Han and Yi Tianlong knew that Lord Devour was the god protector of the Fire Dragon continent. Without Lord Devour, how many of them could be alive? Yi Ching Han had a special feeling for Lord Devour. It was a complicated feeling. He had the feeling of treating his elders, the gratitude he felt toward his benefactor, and the special feeling he had toward the opposite sex. Of course, he had some resentment, but it had vanished completely. It could be said that Lord Devour was the most important person in his life. Even Yi Tianlong and Yi Qingyo couldn't compare to him. Yi Ching Han stood in front of the new grave with a sad face. Yi Ching Han turned a deaf ear to the sobbing of the people around him. There was only an indescribable emptiness in his heart. as if one of his hands was broken. It felt so empty, so uncomfortable. If Xiaohei wakes up, what am I going to tell him? Yi Qinghan closed his eyes and raised his head. He frowned, and his heart ached. He understood clearly that although Xiaohei didn't like to stay with Lord Devour, he had deep feelings for Lord Devour. It could be said that Lord Devour was Xiaohei's mother. Lord Devour had done everything for him. No matter what Xiaohei had done, Lord Devour had never blamed him. He had always spoiled him, giving him whatever he wanted. Although Xiaohei liked to play, he wasn't a fool. He knew clearly that Lord Devour had treated him well. Buzz! Just as Yi Qinghan's heart was throbbing with pain, his body suddenly trembled. The restrictions within the Battle Emperor Hall started to tremble. Yi Qinghan probed with his divine sense, and suddenly felt a little panicked. Xiaohei seemed to have sensed something. He had woken up and was calling for Shi Yin in the Battle Emperor Hall. Yi Qinghan pondered for a while, gritted his teeth, and dashed into the Battle Emperor Hall. He forced a smile on his face. He had prepared something to say, but when he saw Xiaohei's pale face, he couldn't say anything. When Xiaohei saw Yi Qinghan come in, he immediately flew over and said hurriedly, boss, is something wrong? Why do I feel so flustered? I've never been in such a situation before." Yi Qinghan forced a smile again. He took a deep breath and said slowly, "Xiaohei, I have bad news. I'll take you out later. But you have to promise, boss, that you can't be too emotional. Do you understand?" "What?" Xiaohei's body trembled in the air, and his face became even paler. He widened his eyes and said in horror, "Boss, tell me quickly, tell me quickly." Yi Qinghan turned his face away, sighed, and said, "Your aunt died for your father." "Aunt?" Xiaohei was stunned. Then he shook his head violently and flew towards Yi Qinghan. He roared, "No, it can't be. Boss, you must be lying to me. You must be lying to me." Sigh. Yi Qinghan sighed again. He brought Xiaohei in and left the Battle God Pavilion. Aunt. Ah, ah, ah. When Xiaohei came out, he saw a group of people with red and swollen eyes, especially Li Shui and the Demon Devourer. Their eyes were filled with grief as they watched the beautiful dark castle turn into a graveyard. Xiaohei raised his head and roared. Then he turned into a gust of wind and engulfed the entire dark forest. "Xiaohei!" Countless shouts and worried voices sounded. However, the people's shouts were too late. Or rather, they couldn't stop it at all. Hiss! Woo! Ayo! The billions of magical beasts in the dark forest screamed in unison. Their screams shook the sky of the Flame Dragon continent and scared the ordinary people near the dark forest half to death. Under the horrified gazes of all the powerful martial artists in the Flame Dragon continent, all the magical beasts in the forest turned into dust and were devoured by Xiaohei. The flowers and trees in the mountains withered at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, the Flame Dragon City's most dangerous place, the largest forest, turned into a withered land under Xiaohei's grief and indignation. There was not a single magical beast, not a single blade of green grass, only black soil and green rocks. The entire dark forest was filled with a faint bleakness and a thick aura of death. Everyone was stunned. However, when Yi Qinghan saw Xiaohei flying into the distance again, he was shocked. He circulated his cold power and chased after him. If Xiaohei was angered and swept across the Flame Dragon continent, Li Shui and the Demon Devourer demon wanted to chase after him, but they didn't know how to comfort Xiaohei. They could only send a telepathic message to Yi Qinghan. The two of them hugged each other and cried bitterly again. However, Xiaohei obviously didn't lose his mind. He didn't hurt anyone, but the misty swamp in the west of the demon god residence was devastated. Xiaohei swept across it, and not even a single blade of grass was spared. The Flame Dragon continent's three most dangerous places, the Dark Forest, the Misty Swamp, and the Fallen God Mountain, were all destroyed at this moment. Yi Qinghan chased after him, but he didn't stop Xiaohei. Instead, he silently accompanied him, standing on the barren Misty Swamp. Xiaohei didn't speak, nor did he cry. He couldn't shed tears. He just turned into a little soul devourer beast and sat in the valley where he grew up. He buried his head in it, curled up, and fell into a deep sleep. Yi Ching Han didn't speak either. He just sat quietly beside him, accompanying him. One man and one beast were immersed in an inexplicable sorrow. From time to time, some divine senses quietly probed over, but no one dared to disturb Yi Ching Han and Xiao He when they were quietly sitting here. Yi Ching Han and Xiao He sat in this valley for half a month. The two didn't say a word, and they didn't care about anything. Yi Ching Han didn't even look at the communication jade talisman. After a long time, Xiao He finally raised his head, his eyes full of hope. He looked pitifully at Yi Ching Han and said, "Boss, can you do me a favor?" Yi Ching Han also raised his head and looked at Xiao He. He didn't speak, but nodded gently. Xiao He said solemnly, "If it's possible, your strength can still improve to the point where you can truly defy the heavens and change your fate. Please help me resurrect my aunt. My aunt is so cruel. She didn't even meet me one last time." Yi Ching Han also answered solemnly, "If it's possible, I will definitely do it. If my strength really reaches that level, I will resurrect your parents and mine too. All of them will be resurrected, and we will all live happily together. When the time comes, I will bring you all around Pangaea. I will bring you all to my hometown, Huaxia, to your fathers and my hometown." Yi Ching Han's voice grew softer and softer until he couldn't believe it himself. Xiao He also stared blankly into the distance. He didn't hear what Yi Ching Han was saying at all. One beast and one man. At the place where they had first met, one had made an absurd request, while the other had made an absurd promise. It was unknown whether he was lying to the other party or to himself. Although the promise was absurd, it gave Yi Ching Han a new goal to strive for. Since there really were gods in this world, his soul had transmigrated from Earth, and he possessed such unimaginable abilities. If he worked hard, he might really be able to do it one day. Chapter 1282. The envoys sent by the various forces in the divine realm had already returned. The powerhouses of the Fire Dragon continent had also returned, not daring to disturb Yi Ching Han. Yi Ching Han and Xiao He, as well as their relatives, were staying in the new house built next to the Dark Castle. Xiao He went into seclusion again to refine the energy devoured in his body. Yi Ching Han also went into seclusion to cultivate and explore new abilities or the direction of recovery. Yi Ching Han's wives, those who could cultivate, were all cultivating, while those who couldn't were accompanying Li Shui, and the demon devourer. Cultivate? How can I cultivate with this strange body of mine? Although Yi Ching Han was in seclusion, he was at a loss. He didn't know how he should cultivate if he wanted to improve his strength. He couldn't gather divine power in his body, and his soul couldn't strengthen. Most importantly, he couldn't comprehend the laws after refining the chaos divine crystal. If he didn't have the power of cold, Yi Ching Han would be no different from a disabled person. Although his soul was extremely strong and could instantly kill martial artists below rank 9, without the power of cold, he couldn't even fly. But without divine power, he couldn't even fly. Even if he had a powerful soul, he was still a cripple. The amount of power of cold now determined his combat strength. But he couldn't cultivate the power of cold. In the soul space, everything was evolving naturally. Yi Ching Han couldn't control it even if he wanted to. Besides, he didn't dare to control it. How should I cultivate? Continue cultivating soul skills? But my soul is only at the peak of rank 9. It doesn't have much effect on the attacks of rank 9 supreme martial artists. Yi Ching Han was in a dilemma. Although he had a ridiculous goal now, and temporarily put aside the threat of the Divine Emperor Supreme, he realized that he couldn't cultivate anymore. After half a year of seclusion, Yi Ching Han still couldn't find any clues, so he decisively led everyone back to the Divine Realm. Back in the Divine Realm, Jida and the others immediately came to visit. Yi Ching Han dealt with them, then closed the door and refused to see any guests, other than important matters, or when the beast god sent Yi Feihu back to report information about the intermediate transference plane to the evil demons. He didn't receive any guests. Yi Ching Han gathered countless ancient scrolls from various places, as well as the vast number of books in the Battle God Pavilion. Every day, he sat in the Flame Dragon City's City Lord residence, reading on the newly built rooftop. The newly built rooftop was very beautiful. It was filled with all kinds of fresh flowers, and there was a huge grape trellis on top. Yi Qinghan began to crazily study the knowledge of the ancients, searching for a method for his own cultivation path. However, Yi Qinghan had been reading for 3 whole years, flipping through ancient books and reading hundreds of thousands of books, but he still hadn't found a feasible solution. Yi Qinghan decisively stopped reading the ancient books and began to wander alone in the divine world. He didn't take anyone with him. Using the spirit of the eerie night transformation, he transformed into an old man and began to wander aimlessly through the god world. He first went to the destroyed Firework tribe, then to Phoenix Dance City, and then forced his way into the Shady Fiend Stream. He began to walk slowly along the path he had walked since he came to the divine world. His heart was extremely empty. The threat of the god Emperor Supreme was forcefully expelled from his mind, and the threat of the demon world was also cast aside. He had forgotten about Lord Devour's passing. He had also forgotten about Xiaohei's sorrow. He had also forgotten about his wife and children in the Flame Dragon City. Yi Qinghan stood outside the rebuilt Firework tribe, watching a group of newcomers kill demonic beasts to increase their strength and climb up the ranks. He wandered in the Shady Fiend Stream, coldly watching a group of people fight against the demons. He rode a dragon boat on the Star Sea, wandering aimlessly, fishing outside the Soul Emperor Island. He forgot about time, forgot about everything, and was like a lonely traveler. He practically walked through the entire divine world, and this walk lasted for 3 whole years. This is a green mountain? I didn't think it was tall before, but now that I'm standing at the foot of the mountain, I finally feel that it's the highest mountain in the divine world. It really lives up to its name. Yi Qinghan wore an ash-gray robe. His hair was as white as snow, and he had a youthful complexion. He wore a pair of cloth shoes. Standing at the southernmost part of the Blood Night continent, under a towering mountain peak that reached the clouds, he gazed at the Green Mountain. After a while, he started to walk up the mountain, one step at a time. Although he didn't have god power or the power of cold, he relied on his physical strength to walk. After 3 days, Yi Qinghan was only halfway up the mountain. It wasn't hard to imagine how high the mountain was. Stop! Who are you? How dare you trespass the Green Mountain tribe? Retreat quickly, or I'll kill you. As Yi Qinghan walked on the spiraling path to the sky, a checkpoint suddenly appeared in front of him. There was a small team of intimidating warriors on the checkpoint. They were the warriors of the Green Mountain tribe. After Green Mountain's death, the Green Mountain tribe had been in seclusion, afraid that Yi Qinghan would seek revenge. Now that they realized someone was trespassing, countless powerhouses flew down from the mountain. There were more than 10 venerables, and there was even a lower-rank 9 martial artist. It was obvious that he had just broken through not long ago. Yi Qinghan didn't even look at the crowd. He didn't stop either, continuing to walk toward the checkpoint. His expression didn't change at all. "Sir, please state your purpose of coming. Otherwise, the Pollock won't stand on ceremony." The lower-rank 9 powerhouse stared at Yi Qinghan for a long time, but he couldn't detect any of Yi Qinghan's strength. However, the more he thought so, the more shocked he was. Would a normal person dare to come to the Green Mountain tribe? Just as the lower rank 9 gritted his teeth and was about to give the order to attack, Yi Qinghan finally raised his head. A strange light flashed in his eyes, and the soul illusion was activated. Then, under everyone's terrified gaze, he walked past them easily and continued to walk slowly toward the mountain peak. Who is he? What kind of supernatural power is this? What is he trying to do? When Yi Qinghan passed through the Green Mountain tribe and walked toward the peak of Green Mountain, all the venerables and the lower-rank 9 martial artists were terrified. Yi Qinghan still walked toward the peak step by step. There was a palace on the peak where the Green Mountain tribe lived, but no one in the Green Mountain tribe dared to move. There were so many powerhouses, but one look from that person was enough to make everyone freeze. Who dared to move without knowing his purpose of coming? Yi Qinghan walked to the peak, leaped, and landed on the luxurious palace of Green Mountain. Then he sat down quietly and gazed into the distance. The strong wind made Yi Qinghan's robe flutter, messing up his black hair and blurring his eyes. But he still sat there quietly, gazing at the mountains, rivers, and seas in the distance, at the people below, and at the tens of millions of terrified and confused faces of the Green Mountain tribe below. Finally, Yi Qinghan fell asleep directly on top of the palace. He crossed his legs and looked up at the sky. It was as if he could see through the cloud-like origin power in the sky and see the beautiful endless void. After a while, Yi Qinghan closed his eyes. No one knew what he was thinking, or maybe he was cultivating and comprehending, or maybe he was tired and just fell asleep. He slept for 10 days and 10 nights. The powerhouses of the Green Mountain tribe all looked at him in confusion and fear, but none of them dared to come up and disturb him. After 10 days and 10 nights, Yi Qinghan suddenly opened his eyes. His face was filled with ecstasy and surprise. He touched his head embarrassedly and murmured in a daze, "Mother asterisk Kerr, Space Combination Mysteries, I've actually learned the basics. I refined the Chaos Divine Crystal, and I can still comprehend the nomological order, and I just casually comprehended it, and I've learned the basics." Chapter 1283. The Divine World had a law. After refining the Divine Crystal, it was almost impossible to continue comprehending the principle. This was an absolute law. For billions of years, no one could break this law. The primal chaos Divine Crystal was still a divine crystal. After Lord Devour refined it, his comprehension of the principle didn't improve. If Shinto Xiong hadn't become the Lord and the principle of heaven and earth hadn't given him the power of will, he wouldn't have been able to advance further. Thus, Yi Qinghan didn't want to continue comprehending the principle. These years, Yi Qinghan had thought of many ways to increase his power, but either it didn't work or the increase was too weak. Eventually, on the peak of the Green Mountain Palace, he looked up at the sky and remembered the space combination mystery that he couldn't comprehend. He tried to comprehend it, and he fused it. It was ridiculous, so ridiculous that Yi Qinghan couldn't figure it out. Eventually, he remembered that he hadn't completely refined the primal chaos divine crystal, and there were too many strange things happening to him, so he didn't think about it anymore. He suddenly disappeared from the Green Mountain Lightning, entering the War Imperial Palace. The Green Mountain tribesmen were startled. To disappear without a trace, it wasn't teleportation, nor was he entering an ordinary spatial divine item. There was only one explanation. The Lord of the Divine World, the Frigid Night Sovereign, Yi Qinghan's legendary spatial divine item, the War Imperial Palace. Thinking of Yi Qinghan's strange power, the current chief of the Green Mountain tribe, Pollock, was almost sure that this man was Yi Qinghan in disguise. Of course, there was another possibility. He was the Divine Emperor Supreme. However, Pollock was more convinced that it was Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan finally came to the Green Mountain tribe, but he didn't destroy the tribe. Instead, he did something strange. What did he want to do? This question was like a nightmare in the minds of millions of tribesmen of the Green Mountain tribe, making them restless. Of course, Yi Qinghan didn't want to do anything. At this moment, he was preparing to cultivate in seclusion to comprehend the space combination mystery. Although his current strength mainly relied on the power of cold, the power of cold condensed by the God Slayer spear was several times stronger. If his law-rule realm could improve further, he would be able to mobilize even more spatial power and combine it with cold power. Their terrifying power would be even greater. If he had enough cold energy, he would definitely be able to kill a 9th-grade supreme martial artist head-on right now. It could be said that he stood at the pinnacle of martial artists. If it was the Yi Qinghan of the past, he might have felt that he was strong enough to live a carefree life. He would never think about increasing his strength again. But now was not the time. Xiaohei had yet to reconstruct his true form. The old man in sackcloth's terrifying strength made him unable to muster up the will to fight. Also, he had to revive Lord Devour, the sole emperor, and his parents. With so many reasons combined, Yi Qinghan still wanted to become stronger. So strong that no one in the entire Pan realm, could be his enemy. Not even the old man in sackcloth or the supreme God Emperor could be his enemy. In the past, Yi Qinghan had always dreamed of living a comfortable life with his wives. But now, Yi Qinghan had experienced so many things. He was already used to this kind of life where he worked hard for his family, friends, and himself. After thinking about it, Yi Qinghan felt that cultivating in seclusion like this was too much of a waste of time. The plane occupied by the demon realm still had a few hundred years before the teleportation formation was completely repaired. At that time, the beast god would definitely come to find him, and his cultivation would be interrupted. Moreover, the war with the demon realm was imminent. Yi Qinghan also wanted to improve his strength. Therefore, he took out the teleportation jade talisman and sent a message to the enchantress. He wanted her to come over and accompany him in his cultivation. The magical body of the demonic tribe could help him enter the 5th level of soul quietude directly, and his cultivation speed would be several times faster. The enchantress was overjoyed when she received the message, and the other women also heaved a sigh of relief. Yi Qinghan simply said a few words and left home. Everyone thought that it was because of Lord Devour's death that he was hurt and wanted to be alone for a while. Yi Qinghan used the specter transformation to become another person, and no one could find his whereabouts. They only knew that he was still in the divine realm. Who knew that Yi Qinghan had left home for several years, and there was no news at all? Now that they received his message saying that he wanted to cultivate, everyone was overjoyed. They thought that Yi Qinghan had finally pulled himself together. Although they were a little jealous of the enchantress, they were relieved that there was a woman accompanying him. The enchantress teleported all the way. In just one day, she arrived at the foot of the Green Mountain. After that, the enchantress recklessly broke into the mountain, and this time, the people of the Green Mountain tribe were scared half to death. Not long ago, a ridiculously strong expert broke into the mountain, and now another one came? Was it possible that Yi Qinghan was finally going to attack the Green Mountain tribe? No one expected that the intruder this time was just a venerable and a peerless beauty that could attract people's souls. Countless venerables of the Green Mountain tribe were tempted, drooling as they looked at the enchantress. Fortunately, the chief of the Green Mountain tribe wasn't an idiot. He immediately warned them. Indeed, after the enchantress ascended the mountain peak, she suddenly disappeared. That's one of the wives of the frigid night sovereign, a woman of the enchantress clan, the enchantress. The commander in charge of intelligence of the Green Mountain tribe immediately recognized the enchantress. The Pollock and all the members of the Green Mountain tribe felt their hearts in their mouths. The first intruder was indeed Yi Qinghan. Of course, everyone was jealous and envious of him. Look, the boss of the divine realm was indeed different. He could go wherever he wanted. When he was tired, he could rest. When he was bored, he could even invite the goddess of all the men in the divine realm to sleep with him. After the enchantress came in, Yi Qinghan didn't say a word. He directly started to do it. He vented the pressure from the divine emperor's supremacy, the depression and sorrow from Lord Devour's death on the enchantress's alluring body. Seeing that Yi Qinghan wasn't in a good mood, the enchantress also tried to please him. She posed in all kinds of difficult positions to fight. For a moment, the War Imperial Hall was filled with the atmosphere of spring. The scene made people's blood boil, and they couldn't control themselves. After a long time, Yi Qinghan finally stopped. Heaven and earth Yuan Qi gathered in the War Divine Pavilion, and the cold wind blew. Yi Qinghan entered the 5th level of soul quietness and started to cultivate in seclusion to comprehend the space combination mysteries. The enchantress's cheeks were flushed, and her beautiful eyes were like silk. Her alluring body was lying on her side lazily, forming a perfect S shape. Her snow-white skin was bright red, and it was the mark of love. She looked at her man in a daze, her face full of happiness. After a long time, the enchantress stood up and cleaned Yi Qinghan's traces after the battle. She put on her robe, but she didn't wear her underwear anymore. Anyway, she had to exercise once every 5 years. She left her clothes empty, holding a book on restrictions, sitting next to Yi Qinghan to study. Time flew. More than 100 years had passed in the blink of an eye. The divine world was in a state of peace. The beast god sent back news from time to time. The demon world, the transit plane, was still recovering. Xiaohe was still refining energy, sleeping soundly. Every 5 years, the enchantress would shyly climb on Yi Qinghan's body, kissing him all the way. When Yi Qinghan had a reaction, she would close her eyes shyly, her face blushing. Then, she would sit on his body and gently sway, helping Yi Qinghan enter the 5th level of soul quietness. On this day, the enchantress calculated that it was about time and was preparing to climb up. Unexpectedly, Yi Qinghan suddenly opened his eyes. His face was full of shock and disbelief. He looked at the enchantress and blinked, saying, "Enchantress, how long have I been in seclusion?" 150 years. Why? The enchantress was also very puzzled. Why did Yi Qinghan come out of seclusion after only a few days? Although he had the help of the 5th level of soul quietness, to comprehend a high-level profound mystery, he would need at least 500 to 600 years, right? The shock in Yi Qinghan's eyes became even more intense. He cried out involuntarily. Something strange happened again. My space combination mysteries. I actually comprehended the profound mysteries. Chapter 1284. What? Yao Ji's body shook. Her beautiful eyes filled with shock. She asked in disbelief, "Little Han, are you sure?" As soon as the words left her mouth, Yao Ji realized something was wrong. Although Yi Qinghan was usually frivolous and unruly, he never joked when it came to serious matters. Then, was it true? Yao Ji's cherry lips opened slightly, a pair of delicate hands resting on her towering breasts. She looked at Yi Qinghan as if he was a monster. Originally, when Yi Qinghan asked her to accompany him in his cultivation, he said that he wanted to comprehend the profound mysteries. Yao Ji didn't really believe him, but at this moment, she didn't expect that the profound mysteries had really been fused together, and had even achieved great success. Yi Qinghan comprehended the eternity of space, and directly obtained the method to control the power of space. Although this was shocking, it was still understandable. This meant that Yi Qinghan was talented and lucky. Comprehension of laws became more difficult the further one went. Yao Ji had never heard of someone being able to fuse a high-level mystery in 100 years, and it was the 6th high-level mystery at that. Normally, talented people would need at least a few thousand years to achieve great success after fusing a high-level mystery. And this was only the first high-level mystery. The more time it took, the more difficult it would be. Under normal circumstances, people like Yi Qinghan would need at least tens of thousands of years to achieve great success with the 6th high-level mystery. Yi Qinghan's soul was freakishly strong, and with Yao Ji's help, he entered the 5th level of soul quietness. Fusing this mystery took hundreds or even thousands of years, and that was the most conservative estimate. The last high-level mystery, Yi Qinghan spent more than 800 years to achieve great success. But this time, in fact, Yi Qinghan was also dumbfounded. He had refined the chaos divine crystal, so he shouldn't be able to comprehend the laws. But this time, he casually comprehended and fused the mystery, and achieved great success in a short 100 years. He was very clear that the mystery he comprehended was not fake, but a real mystery. He also understood why he could comprehend it so quickly. That was because in the past, when he comprehended the profound mysteries, he would often encounter some small bottlenecks. There were some areas that he couldn't understand, and sometimes he would walk into a fork in the road, fusing in the wrong direction, and have to start over. But in the past 100 years, he didn't feel like he had ever encountered such a situation. It was as if everything had happened naturally, as if he had already comprehended this profound mystery in his mind. That's right. It was as if he wasn't comprehending the profundities, but comprehending the profundities brought about by the divine crystal. How could such a strange thing happen? Is it related to the primal chaos, divine crystal? Or is it because of this strange soul space of mine? Yi Qinghan was puzzled. His eyes flickered, and he muttered to himself for a long time, but he couldn't find an answer. He began to look inside his soul space and found that other than the increase in the power of cold, the size of his soul space, and the size of the stars in the sky, there was nothing special. Regarding the soul space, Yi Qinghan had a mentality of avoiding it. As long as there were no major changes and nothing major happened, he wouldn't think about it and wouldn't care. He had always believed that with his soul like this, he couldn't be considered a human anymore, but a monster. He was afraid that one day, the fact that his soul had mutated would be made public, and he would be regarded as a monster by the world, his wife, and his children, and be spurned by them. Or in other words, he would be mercilessly killed by the divine emperor, so he chose to avoid thinking about it, and hid it from everyone. Since he couldn't figure it out, and he had truly comprehended the profundities of the laws, Yi Qinghan's optimism came into play again. In any case, it was a good thing, so what was the point of dwelling on it? The profound mystery of space combination had reached the large success stage. Yi Qinghan's realm of the laws had also reached the peak of 7th grade war god. As long as he could comprehend the so-called Tao, he could become a venerable in the truest sense. Then he could comprehend the ultimate mystery, and his realm of the laws would truly reach the 9th grade. Comprehend the Tao. What is the Tao? Well, I'll go back first. There's no hurry. If I want to comprehend it, I can't force it. Yi Qinghan recalled that years ago, when he woke up Emperor Xiang of Beacon Smoke Manor outside of Flame Dragon City, he had comprehended the Tao. Before that, Emperor Xiang had been stuck at the peak of 7th grade for more than 100,000 years. He knew that the Tao couldn't be forced and that it depended on fate. Come, let's go home. I've been away for more than 100 years, and my family must be in a mess, right? After figuring things out, Yi Qinghan grinned. He thought of his wife and children at home, and a sweet smile appeared on his face. Wait! The temptress blushed when she heard him, and then said bashfully, Turn around first. I need to put on my clothes. Put on your clothes? Aren't you wearing clothes? Oh! Yi Qinghan was stunned, and then he saw that under the temptress's snow-white robe, there were 2 faintly discernible spots on her upper body and a lush black meadow below. His mind swayed, and his large hands reached out to embrace the temptress's soft body. He gave her a long, wet kiss and used both his hands and feet to indulge his lust. After he was satisfied, he let go of the temptress, but he didn't turn around to enjoy the sight of the temptress changing her clothes shyly. Whoosh! On the top of Green Mountain, the Pollock and the tribesmen of Green Mountain thought that Yi Qinghan had left a long time ago. Now that Yi Qinghan came out with the temptress, the tribesmen of Green Mountain were startled again. Whoosh! Whoosh! This time, Yi Qinghan didn't change his appearance. The Pollock had seen Yi Qinghan's portrait before, so he led the swordsmen of the Green Mountain and flew up to Yi Qinghan. He knelt down on one knee and said reverently, The Pollock and the doyens of the Green Mountain tribe greet the Emperor Han Yi. I didn't recognize Emperor Han Yi earlier, and have offended you greatly. Please forgive me, Emperor. The Emperor Han Yi? Yi Qinghan shot a puzzled glance at the temptress, wondering when he had a new title. The temptress smiled faintly, which made the doyens of Green Mountain feel a bit excited. This is the title given to you by the low-level swordsman in the immortal realm. Haven't you heard it all these years? You are now the master of the god realm, so everyone calls you the Frigid Knight Sovereign. It's no different from other rank 9s, so we might as well use the way low-level martial artists call us. Oh! Yi Qinghan didn't mind. In this world, if you didn't have strength, it was useless even if you had a nickname. If you had strength, even if you didn't have a name, there would still be a lot of people who remembered you. Forgive? Yi Qinghan didn't plan on punishing the Qingshan tribesmen when he saw the Qingshan tribesmen staring at the Yaoji, but he was slightly angry now. He snorted coldly and said, All of you jump down from here. Remember, you are not allowed to use divine power or laws. Jump down, and I'll let this matter go. Otherwise, humph. The elders of the Green Mountain tribe trembled, their expressions changing drastically. This mountain was over 1,000,000 meters tall. How could he jump down without using his divine power or laws? Although they were all experts and could control where they would land so that their heads wouldn't fall and their souls wouldn't be injured, it was impossible for them to do so. But the taste was definitely not going to be good. However, did they dare not to jump? This subordinate obeys. Thank you, great emperor. The Pollock felt as if he had been pardoned. He glanced at the 7 or 8 Doyens behind him and then jumped down first. Seeing the Pollock jump, the other 7 or 8 Doyens gritted their teeth helplessly and jumped down with pale faces. None of them dared to use their divine power or laws. They fell down like meteorites. Yi Qinghan scanned the area with his divine sense and easily found that all of them were smashed into a bloody mess, screaming in pain. He laughed leisurely and said, "A bunch of idiots, but this new chief of the Green Mountain tribe is still sensible. Let's go back." The temptress smiled and teleported away with Yi Qinghan. In the blink of an eye, they had disappeared from the top of Green Mountain, heading toward Fiery Dragon City. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.